honestly, really doesn't matter how we start. Welcome.
Are you recording?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're rolling. I got audio. We got video.
Great.
Dude. Yeah. Again, first of all, start by saying thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Making the trip. Are you in Chicago right now?
I'm in the suburbs. I live right
Where are you at?
Naperville.
Oh shit! Of course you do.
Yeah.
Classy man. I'll be out there this weekend.
It's just because it's central to where the kids are.
Yeah, we're gonna go see Santa. We're gonna go see Santa at a brewery, of all places.
It's that time of year.
That's what Joe's up to. I just want to introduce, I guess, everybody to my. I'll give you your proper name, Edmer Abante.
Wow.
Mer.
Very proper.
Mer.
Yep.
I've only known you as Mer, basically. I thought about this a better part of 20 years. I've known you now, which is crazy to think.
That is so crazy,
isn't it?
Yes.
Just imagine. Let me set the scene for you. It's 2002 at Western Illinois University, and I'm going to my new friend John Escondo's brother's apartment building because we lived in a dorm, and nobody wants to hang out in a dorm. And if you have a fake ID, you want to pregame and go out. So his dear brother Wes had us all these little idiot freshmen over to his apartment, and they're listening to John Mayer and Dave Matthews and God knows what, drinking Keystones. And then all of a sudden, John puts on this CD, and I'm like, who are these guys? And he's like, this is my cousin. I'm like, no, it's not. There's no chance in hell this is your cousin. It's like Spanish song. It was like one of your first like full albums, maybe. I don't know.
Sure.
Do you remember which album I'm referring to?
The handwritten album, it's called?
Probably. That was the one that is that the one that ends with Home, I think?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I fell in love with this guy before I even saw his face.
Aww.
But then you got to come out and visit and play some music. We got to meet that way. I think I saw you at Shuba's one of the first years I even knew who you were.
Wow.
You had that little room at Shuba's. It was like a January probably show or a Christmas time show, and it was one of the most epic nights of my life. It was so great. So great. Who was the old boy that used to play the bass for you? Big boy.
Oh, John Owens, the gospel guy.
Oh my
gosh. His pocket was so deep.
How good was he?
Unbelievable.
So much fun. It was so much fun.
Wow,
I think you used to cut into like Superstition, I think, and you'd take him to the bridge. Like he was so good.
Yeah, if you got a gospel brother on the set, you got to let him do his thing.
Dude, I listened to that album so many times though, like the handwritten album.
Thanks, man.
Like for forever. I mean, that's old school. That's like 2002. You've evolved immensely from that time in your life, but that is how you and I got to know each other, and it has been a long time since we got to really connect on like a personal level, so I'm really happy to have you here, and I appreciate you coming into my little home studio. Somebody called it the Jodo the other day, and I was like,
Jodo. I like that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Dude, I watch you on the internet. You're just like, you're all over the place. You're traveling. You're staying fit. That's something I'm like, damn, this boy out here getting it every day.
That's more for the sanity thing, man. Like, honestly, with all the things that are going on, man, like, it's the best stress reliever for me. And, you know, my kids are getting older. I just want to be able to keep up.
Forgot you had kids, too. Duh.
I just want to keep up. Well, one of them is an adult, technically.
They both look
legally.
like adults now. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. Miles kick my ass.
Soccer player, right?
Yeah.
Balling.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, let's fill in some of these blanks here, because it's been... I mean, I literally would just come watch you play music. Anywhere you come. We used to try to get you to come to any bar we had out here when we were like done with college. We're like, please come out here and play.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's far. Like,
yeah, but let's throw back to the Escondo boys. Thank goodness for my cousins.
Shout out
like,
to those boys.
One, those guys are popular.
They're so great.
Always been popular. Those guys have always been super social. And man, like when we were touring the college circuit, man, like on our way to Iowa City, we had to hit up Macomb and. You know,
so cool.
Oh man, what was it? Those
played the Pace, I think.
The
maybe
Pace
played at some point.
And what was the place with the drink called the Quaaludes? Oh my!
Oh, that was Bootleggers. I think
Bootleggers.
God, that place that put you.
I remember
down.
my cousin Gerald too. Gerald. Oh my gosh.
Man, when your brother, right? Your brother would come out too, man.
Yep.
Well, those were like the best weekends we could possibly have out there.
That was an unbelievable time.
Just a blast. We're the worst people. The best were like the impromptu on top of a coffee table apartment shows that broke out. Those were the wildest ones.
Obnoxious. Right. And you guys all let me do it. You guys just kept feeding my ego.
You know, we encouraged it. We pushed it actually most times. Jimmy Bellavia. Shout out to old Jimmy.
Yeah.
Got to see him recently too. Him and Marlon were working on some stuff, playing music again together, which is crazy.
It's awesome. I know that Saturday doing their thing.
Nolan, Marlon, all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you spent so much time. Like you always struck me. Basically, obviously, I was talking about that first album. It was called Handwritten, but you were a writer. Like you're always writing music.
Yeah.
You seem to be like prolific at it almost at a young age. Like you seem like you had a lot of music early on when you were going.
Yeah. It was a mental health thing. It was a way for me to say the things that I couldn't say. And I feel that I've always been much better expressed with a guitar. Like I started piano first, right? Classically trained, all that stuff. And it was great. Taught me discipline. But man, like I found guitar at like 12, 13. So right when the hormones are kicking in, I found guitar. It turns out girls like guitars too, so that was a nice motivator.
Totally.
I don't know if you know that, but
they never work for me, but they work for you, and I like that.
Yeah, my two kids are. Yep. We'll get into that later. But yeah, the writing thing for me was just a way to express, and I grew up, like the Filipinos, man, a lot of sappy stuff, but more importantly, like James Taylor, Simon and Garfunkel, Don McLean, the Bee Gees, like. These really good storytellers and these emotional songwriters is what I grew up on early on, and that's what I emulated. So the storytelling piece was always innate, and I always felt really comfortable with it.
My real question is like, how does one family obtain so much just natural swagger? That's like, and I'm not. That's not a joke. Like I've met the uncles, I've met the fathers, I've met like.
Sure.
All of the like you guys have this like do you guys have like ego issues at like family Christmases and stuff? Are you like, holy, 100%. Like who's the big dick around here?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
That's it.
Which is funny for Asians
cool
to think about
family.
the big dick thing, but especially on the side that you met, the Abante side. My grandfather was a fucking baller, dude.
Really?
Like he was a guy. So San Pablo, Philippines. It's a suburb of Manila. He was the guy that like if anybody in the community needed something, they'd go to him, and he'd be like, go take your son to the doctor, tell him it's on my
He's
tab.
the godfather.
He was
the godfather.
He was that guy. So the Abante clan. I mean, here's the thing. Let's even go down to like the name. Abante in Tagalog, the national language of the Philippines, means to move forward. Literally, like that's what it means. Abante is to move forward. So like, I don't know. We all kind of just lean into that and we just run our shit.
Did you find like at some point in your life where you're like, I'm kind of interested in how we became? I mean, you come from that background of the Philippines. It's like who came over first? Like how long ago was it?
Yeah.
I mean, John's mom would come visit and bring us shit tons of groceries. She'd cook all this great
the
food,
pancit and the egg rolls. Oh man,
just the rice. You'd be like, this is better than normal rice. I don't know why.
Yeah,
maybe just John's mom just gave it the love. But like,
of course,
like when did you find yourself kind of wanting to dive into your culture like that?
It's
was it like pushed on you right away?
It wasn't pushed. It was always a thing, and I was really proud of it. It was always our family is very proud, and there was a huge past tense. There was a huge focus on that nuclear family piece. Things as people get older and people start to have their own families, like stuff happens, right? So generational stuff. We'll get into that at some point, but at an early age, the culture. And the language even, right? Like there's a beauty in the language. Like I was my grandparents' favorite because I was the only American born that could speak Tagalog fluently.
Now, why is that? Was it like the time you were born, you just happened to stay with them? They kind of, or did you just like make an effort to make sure you could? Or they just spoken around you more?
Yeah, I'm guessing it was my parents put more of a focus on it. And I mean, also now I know my brain, like, I'm just really good with words and language and stuff and that, songwriting, audible stuff.
Natural.
Yeah, just language is the thing that I'm really into. And there's certain things within languages that you can't convey when you translate. So in speaking with my grandparents and the elders, they just listen to you more when you're speaking natively.
Okay.
And so I just wanted to be heard. And
you can connect a little bit more that way.
I just want to get my agendas met.
And you became the favorite. So I mean that's a win-win right there.
There's some bias there, but yeah.
There's some bias. All right.
Yeah.
I mean that's a total. I mean I just remember we like you call them like the flip mode squad. Everybody had fun like nicknames, but like you don't think about it when you're hanging out with John. Didn't seem like a guy that came from this whole different culture than I did. But then like you stop and step back and like you meet the family. families, and you go
You
over there.
were
to
at the
their
parties with
houses,
us,
right?
man.
You're
You
just
know
like,
how.
oh my God, what like a community this is. It's fucking incredible. Everybody's like there for each other. It's kind of a cool thing.
Thanks, man.
It's got to be something that you guys love to be a part of.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't believe one family had all this. Like, just and you have it too. I mean, I was used to seeing it daily with Wes and John, but it was like the. Do you guys have born like natural picking out clothes and style and stuff? Like, is that something learned over time? Do you guys?
I think we just cared about how we presented ourselves and like, you know, the music thing. All of my aunts and uncles, like our family parties were talent shows, right? And like
the beginning of Eddie Murphy Raw.
Yeah, my favorite memories as a child were watching. It was before I could play like guitar. As a kid, watching my aunts and uncles throw down and watching my grandma and grandpa dance around and just smiling and watching my parents and my other cousins, just everyone singing along. Like music is such a universal vibration, and to have that as a foundational memory, it's set the precedent for everything that I do. I mean, we can get into it, but Mer's Music Showcase is me continuing that energy and that vibe of community and lifting each other up.
So that was something that was just kind of like ingrained in you just by just the way things were in your household.
Yeah, man.
Like that's
awesome.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, I couldn't wait for the family party.
Like my mom's family has a ton of music in it, and it was like always like the things that stuck out the most around like Christmas time and stuff. Like her brothers all play guitar. Their kids play guitar. Like, and I never had it. I never got it. Like I never like they have ears for it.
You didn't get it till later, really?
I'm literally the only reason I own a guitar or even learn how to play it. You know, a G chord was because of Jimmy and Marlon and you guys. It's the same feeling you're describing at a young age. Is watching everybody gather around and watching like, you know, you come out and play, or like Jimmy and Marlon put on a little coffee shop show at a college and cover a Bush song, and I'm like, oh man, that'd be cool to learn how to play. You watch Jimmy or your Wes would do like Jefferson Airplane or something, you know, before everybody go out to the bar. You're like, that's so cool. Like everybody just, it connects everybody. It's very cool.
Yes. And
that's the only reason that I got into it. But like my mom's family always had it, and it was like this cool thing. It all like kind of passed through them, their Italian family and all that. But the piano, the guitar, singing Christmas stuff, like whatever it was. But like my uncle still to this day like owns like, I don't know, 15 different Chet Atkins acoustic and electric country gentlemen's. And then his son, who's now in his like 50s, has, you know, like a Clapton Stratocaster. Like he's more of the blues, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Like that's how he came up. But my uncle he goes to Nashville every year for the Chet Atkins conference. And
it's amazing.
It's pretty crazy, like how deep they go. My uncle Randy passed. He left me a couple guitars, and he's, you know, he was just an old like country boy. He's just like a Waylon type of guy. But you know, he lived his life that way. Drank too much and died early.
It's a lifestyle.
That was his lifestyle. So like the music is like, I just love when you see it permeate through like a family like that. And you guys all had it. You decided to pursue it almost like as a career for a long time, really. I mean, and got to some like levels that most people don't get to. You got to do some things most people didn't, you know?
I did, and I survived. Yep.
Yeah, hell yeah, you survived. I mean, what's that like? What's that like taking that career path? I mean, when you look around your family, is it like where are most of your brothers and cousins? Are they going into certain fields? Are they, you know, they business types? Are they medical types? Are they, you know, and you're like, oh, I'm the music guy right now.
Yeah.
Early on in life, obviously, I know you've evolved from all that.
Early on, man, it was a really hard decision. There's a lot of obligation, you know, because of the immigrant situation and because of the, like, I'm the firstborn son, right, of three. Crazy. And I'm of the generation that was the first here in the United States. So there was a big precedent to set for the family, you know, dynamics and whatnot. And I always did well in school. Like, school wasn't an issue. Just my effort was the issue. I just didn't care, but I still did well. But I just got obsessed with music, and, you know, I tried the college thing. I went to Northern Illinois University because I just didn't care, and I had a friend that went there, and I'm like, I'll go for a little bit. But I honestly use that as a way.
The same experience for me in college.
Yeah. Dude, but the best thing I learned from it was, like, I just started playing gigs nonstop and crashed every house party with a guitar. And it's ironic, like, I ended up freshman year on an all-guys floor, and I'm like, well, that sucks. And then I find out that half of the football team was incoming freshmen. And so I became friends with the Northern Illinois football team and the starting quarterback. And they would bring me around to every single house party. They'd walk in, they'd shut down the party and say,
"This is our guy.
Turn off the music." And I'd walk in and just start playing like Dave Matthews and Incubus and Craig David and all this stuff.
Incubus.
And like,
yeah,
yeah, man, like
Yeah,
Oasis, right? All that stuff.
yeah.
Like, and they would shut down the party. And I walked in with bodyguards and like a security detail, and they're just like, "You're gonna listen to our boy." And like, remember Michael Angie with the djembe? He'd bring in a djembe and we'd destroy these house parties. And then, at the time, all my other friends went to great schools, right? I grew up in the suburbs, like Winfield, Wheaton, Illinois, right? So all my friends went to like Big Ten SEC schools, and I'd go visit them just like I'd go visit my cousins. And same thing. They'd be like, "Hey, my cousin's coming into town. We got to go check him out. He's a badass." Right. And like, this is right before even MySpace came out. So social media wasn't a thing yet, but MySpace was a thing eventually. And we used to leverage that. But like, it was just straight up guerrilla marketing.
That was so early, dude. That was such the early days. Like that was after I met you.
Yeah.
I mean, they like gave us Facebook while I was
Yep.
Probably a sophomore at Western.
Yeah.
So that would have been like 2003.
Yeah.
You were doing it before that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. So the music thing, honestly, I was just always trying to recreate those family parties. And I did it in living rooms, I did it in bars, and eventually on big stages. And I found myself technically in school, but I was here's what's crazy. I was probably the most cash rich that I ever was. So let's think back, right? Like early 2000s, my monthly burn rate on, expenses and whatever was maybe $300-400.
Yep.
I'd make $300 playing on a Sunday afternoon patio gig for 3 hours. And then I'd, quote unquote, go to class Monday, Tuesday-ish, whatever. And then I just ditch the rest of it. And Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would play at least 1 gig a day. And I was making, $1,200 a week cash.
Yeah.
$1,500 a week cash. And my monthly burn was $400-500. I was,
It didn't even make any sense for most people that
No,
age.
what else-
Like,
yeah.
How are you? Wait, what?
What else am I gonna do? This is it. And like, I was a huge fish in a very small pond, in my small bubble, and it was wonderful.
Like I'm a king out here. Like,
It was great. It was great to be known as the music guy and for people to be excited for you to come into town.
well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that can make you musical, right? Like you can have like a crazy talent on the guitar itself. You can have vocals that are insane. You can be an insane writer. Like what a lot of people don't always grasp, and what you have on top of all those things is like an incredible presence. Like you always, like from the day I met you, you never lacked like a confident feel to you. It was always something like people were always drawn to you. Like I honestly believe that. Like,
Thanks, dude.
I'm not complimenting you. I want to know that I think you know this, and
Sure.
I think I would like to hear what you think about it, and like
Sure.
how you feel. How you approached it, because you take a stage different than a lot of people. Like there's no doubts. I mean, maybe there is in your head, but you're not showing it. Like
right.
There are no doubts.
Yeah.
I even remember a time coming to see you at the Cubby Bear years ago and going out in the van with you before a show,
The big
and
red
watching
van.
you
Oh
run
my
through scales and like it's work.
Yeah.
It's work.
Thanks.
It's a lot, but it's fun. Don't get me wrong. And
Yeah.
it's beautiful and it's love and all the music. But to watch you work before a show and the preparation and the thought, like, hey, I don't have a beer before the show or whatever it is. Like, you
Sure.
took it very seriously. And it was always something I admired about. Just like it's not about what you're doing; it's about the kind of person and the build that you are.
Thanks, man. I think for me, it's the respect and honor of the craft, right? I think to be a good musician, you have to be a good listener and a good fan. And so as I think about, like, live music for me is always the thing, right? And as I think about the musicians and bands we love to go see, the amount of integrity they pour into their performances is like, well, just because I'm not playing the Aragon Ballroom, but I could put in the same type of love and intention into this performance as somebody that does, and maybe that's what will get me to the Aragon Ballroom one day, right? Or House of Blues, right? That was a huge goal for me. So the respect and honor was always there, and nobody taught me that. That's just what I wanted. And it's funny you mentioned the scales. I still do the same scales.
Yeah.
It's like, it's therapeutic. It's cathartic for
think
me.
You told me you start over every time you mess up. If you mess up, you'll start right back at the beginning.
I was
and
militant about it.
That was something that always struck me, because it's like I'm used to seeing you deep into the show. You're having a fucking blast on stage. Everybody's cheering. Everybody wants to take shots afterwards and love you and hug you and all this stuff. But then you're like, oh, you don't realize what's happening to get prepared for that moment.
Thanks for noticing that. I mean, the idea there is, how can I make the expression of the song so fluid that I don't have to think, right? Because even think about it, it's hard to sing and play guitar at the same time. Like here's a challenge for
Just
anybody.
had this conversation.
Learn the song.
The other day.
Learn the song "Satellite" by Dave Matthews and try to sing it.
Yeah.
That song wrecked me, and I was mad that I couldn't figure out that stuff because, like,
mad at Dave Matthews.
Just like,
how dare you?
It's like, I'm classically trained pianist. I can pick up guitar and learn stuff. Like, how can I not sing and play this? So that was a song for me that was like, cool. I'm gonna learn how to shred guitars and find a way to sing. And the idea really is like zero impedance, right? Like, if I'm going to watch someone perform live, you better give me something to look at. I'm of that opinion, right?
I always love that about you. It's not like overly done. It's not like you're jumping, doing flips on the stage.
I get a
but
little
it's
crazy,
like,
you know.
But you the movement and just the kind, like, you make me feel like you're gonna take me on the ride with you.
Thanks,
because
dude.
like, hey, you're part. People talk about like stand up comedy. You want to like almost wash their brain and let them just kind of lock in with you.
Yeah,
like that's how you did with music to, I think, a lot of people, and that's how like great musicians I see live do. Like, I'm not even thinking anymore as an audience member. I'm just fucking rocking.
Yeah,
like, I'm just in that song with you. Like,
yeah,
and I think that's just something not everybody can do it.
Thanks for noticing that. Yeah, the live thing is always really important. And as I continue to play and like curate music in the city through the showcase and stuff, it's weird. I'm just going to make this call out. It's interesting to see how many talented singer-songwriters, vocalists, guitar players have come up through like the YouTube thing and like TikTok. It's awesome to see. But you put them on stage for 30 minutes and tell them to entertain a crowd. Yeah. It's static sometimes, and they don't know how to deal with hecklers. And that, I've dealt with a couple hecklers at those bars at Western.
You're gonna get somebody's girlfriend later.
Yeah, sure.
I've heard you get back at some people.
Some people want to get drunk and say stuff. Don't yell at the guy with a microphone because your girlfriend's watching me.
That was always your advice too, which is, I think, is hilarious.
I mean, it's a real thing.
Never yell at the guy with the microphone.
Yeah, you'll learn a lesson, right? But the new generation, the execution is amazing. Like even like School of Rock is a great program, right? I've had friends that teach there. I've had friends that have had their kids go there.
Yep.
And man, like those kids are playing stages that took me years to get on, and it's a wonderful. Part of me is kind of like, you guys didn't earn that.
100%.
Your parents paid for that.
But cool, man.
But like, awesome. But at the same time, still the performance seems ingenuine, and it's these kids are young or whatever. But even the older generation of people, like you're talking about Hoffer, right? Like that guy, 300 shows a year. Like,
yes,
that guy knows how to work a crowd.
Correct.
Like, right? Like, we're the generation that cut our teeth in the bars to the point sometimes where we're just playing to the bar backs and the bartenders. Yeah. And it's like, my mentality was, I don't care who's in the room. If I can get them to be like, it was dead in here, but man, we fucking love listening to you, they're going to invite me back. And then when I do come back, and be like, you guys got to see this guy. And that's the same. Yeah. For me, that was the same hope in what you said. Like, this guy performs. He's fun to watch. He's a good storyteller, right? And that's always what I wanted.
Now, let's kind of dip back a little bit. We went from kind of growing up in that atmosphere of the music being around and being like that kind of talent show effect, you were describing.
Yeah.
So what happened when you started to kind of like, you got your guitar, you're 12, 13, 14, like where did you go, like as soon as you kind of started building your own musical path? Like, were you kind of feeding off what mom and dad and aunt and uncle were listening to? And then like, when did you start to discover kind of where you were going through music, aside from like the classic shit that was kind of given to you?
Yeah, fair. So the music that I opened up to on my own influence was like rock, funk, and then Dave Matthews was a huge influence because acoustic guitars is where I started. And like, I still think this to this day. James Taylor is an underrated guitar player, and like guys like Lindsey Buckingham, like those guys shred in a finger picking way that most people don't realize because
it's not a big solo. It's not like a big
yeah,
screaming electric guitar.
Yeah,
solo.
especially James Taylor. But if you try to learn his stuff, his finger picking stuff, it'll wreck your hand a little bit. So that was what I came up on. But then I remember like Sam Goody or Tower Records?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I was at the mall. And I was going to check out new music, and I remember putting on the headphones and this Dave Matthews album, Under the Table and Dreaming. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll check it out. And I remember hearing the first song, Carter comes in with hey, my friend. I forgot the name of the song.
Yeah.
Off-Road, no.
I can sing the whole song in my head
now. I can't get the title. But the acoustic guitar blew my mind.
Best of What's Around.
Best of What's Around. Thank you,
right?
Joe. Yeah.
I had to get there.
I'd never heard anyone play acoustic guitar with that type of syncopation and that bounce. And I was like, my brain immediately was like, how is he doing that? And what made him, like, what influenced this guy to do that? So that was a huge thing for me. And the energy around like an acoustic guitar with a band was something new. And then, eventually because of like high school and all that stuff, I got into like Prince and James Brown and Hendrix and Zeppelin. And the Beatles were always in the orbit, right? Because my family,
was a big,
Wes and John's dad, right?
Big time.
Uncle Wilkie, every Beatles song, he'll sing it to you and play it for you with the biggest smile on his face.
Out, too.
Yeah,
like so cool.
And my mom is a huge Beatles fan, so that songwriting was always there. But I got really into guitar when I heard, like Hendrix, obviously, and like just rock music, and that's where I was like, oh, I can do other stuff. That's interesting to me. So then I put a band behind my stuff and started to get heavier and all that stuff, and I just continued to explore from there.
Well, it's fun to say like I just put a band behind it. Like I always wonder that because how do you do that? Like aside from just being out and meeting people and stuff, it's like, how did your first like bands come together? How did and the funk influence is great too, because we just talked about John Owens on the bass. Like how do you go and seek out and find these guys that fit like what you want to do? That's something I always loved about your music and then your shows too, because your live show would be like, here's this like love song or here's a song about my family and all the stuff I wrote, and then all of a sudden we're playing Kiss from
yes.
From Prince.
That cover was so fun. I'm glad you remember that.
It's one of my favorite like covers of all time. Just
thanks, dude.
Because there's another song in there too, right? It was like kind of
we did a medley.
Pair a couple with that song. I mean, it's just outstanding.
Wow, you did pay attention.
Well, it's great because I love to know a guy like you. He dies and then everybody's a Prince fan. Like
sure.
Not that everybody didn't. Most people loved Prince, I would think. He was
sure.
a pop star, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, to know that I used to go see a guy that played and you kind of turned me on to go back and listen to, like, so much of his music.
Yeah.
So now when those songs would come on, like, everyone's, oh, yeah, Prince, after he dies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm listening to Prince or, whatever. But I used to close the bar every night with Purple Rain.
Yes.
Just put that on and mop the floors when I was working in the craft beer bar. Boom. I mean, to the point where, like, people loved it. They were just like, you put it on tonight? Like, boom. Like, that's all you. That's all Mer influence right there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so sorry, getting back to the question, the
good.
bands. Like it sounds easy. I just assembled a group of guys. Like, it's got to be hard to put these guys together.
It's hard to maintain. Let me explain. So I think it goes back to what you said. Like, I could just show up in a room and I just have so much energy to give around like music that like I just get excited that people want to listen. And when other musicians are in the room, they feel the same way you did, right? Or my cousins did, or my friends did, or whatever. Like the NIU football team, like they all feel the same way. But when you're a musician and you have something to contribute, the next question is, dude, let's jam. And then because I've got a classical background, because I studied a little bit of jazz, like I can get down with some folks. And what I learned that I love to do, I love like laying an audio bed for musicians to solo. And so 2 parts. One, musicians would just naturally surface because I was anywhere and everywhere I could play, and people would just come up and be like, I'd love to jam. Mm-hmm. And then when I would jam with them, I would want to know, and I think you'll remember this. You've seen different iterations of the bands that I've had.
Yes.
I've been really lucky. I've had some badass motherfucking musicians, and I've always made a point of it to highlight them and give them ridiculous solos.
Yeah, big time.
Because as a fan of music, I love when bands do not play their record verbatim. I love it when bands embellish and create intros and outros and bridges to songs and medleys.
Michelangelo would go nuts back there.
Dude, one of the most bombastic drummers.
Like the earlier times I'd seen you, like when I first started to get to know you. And then down the road, you had a guitarist that I used to like watch playing. What was his name? He was... Dave Longer, black hair, maybe.
Yeah, Mel Washington.
Mel
Washington. We met at NIU, right?
Oh, dude, no, Mel's the tall, thin black guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I loved Mel too, but another dude that you played with probably before that. Did he play like a Paul Reed Smith or something? Maybe.
AJ Giovanetti.
That's it, Giovanetti.
Dude, literally, I was just with him in LA like a month ago, and we had gotten together and played. It's been forever.
Oh yeah, I saw you posting stuff about it. Yeah. You guys were like sitting in a room together playing. Yeah.
I went to go visit him, and we just got at it again.
That name.
I was always really fortunate to navigate, or like, I don't know, they just showed up in the room and they'd want to jam, and then I'd learn. That's what's fun for me, the collaboration piece. Like, I'm really good at writing a song structure and poppy, catchy stuff, right? Like, that's what I'm good at. But what I really love doing is finding the ways other musicians would contribute to that and giving them a voice in it and kind of spinning the song a certain way to just vibe with whoever's playing. Because again, that's what the crowd wants to hear. And if the musicians are comfortable and they feel like they're contributing, if they feel like they're contributing in their own right, they're going to put a little more love into it than an execution piece, right?
And that lends itself to the fact that like I could pull that name of those guys because you have recordings out there, you have CDs, you have live recordings that I think I've had over the years where you are always shouting those guys out, so those names actually hit me. Yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't know their names because you're constantly like acknowledging them on stage and you know, kind of pushing them to go a little harder. You know, like, hey, I'm gonna step back from the mic, ladies and gentlemen. You know, such and such on the whatever, you know, and back up, and you're just slamming down a fucking rhythms. And usually on an acoustic. I mean, over the years, I've definitely seen you've definitely gravitated more towards the electric guitars a lot. Now that I've seen you on Instagram and whatnot, but I'll always picture you with the acoustic. You know,
that's what
hammering it down and like just letting those guys walk. You know,
yes, because it's fun for all of us, right? And I think. Again, go back to the idea of performing.
Keep everybody engaged.
Yeah, like if we're having a blast on stage, then the probability of a majority of the crowd having a blast and like leaning in and being like, those guys are having so much fun. Like, that's why people show up. Like, you go to a show and you want to be entertained. You want to be wowed. Like, I'm the guy at concerts that is screaming his head off when one of the musicians is soloing, right? And they'll do the intros of the band and I'm losing my mind, right? And like, I've done the research on the backup drummers or whatever, or like the bassist, because like part of seeing the headliner is knowing, especially nowadays, right? A lot of these pop stars and these big artists, they're hiring some of the best studio, like touring musicians ever.
Right.
And like, some of those people are my friends. And other of those people have been like industry like giants that you wouldn't know unless you know. Like, it's an honor to see some of those guys. Like, I just saw I've seen Joe Bonamassa. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
I've seen him. I've been obsessed lately. And like, he's got Willie Nelson's organ player on tour with him.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Willie Nelson's organ player is playing for you. Like, Joe Bonamassa is a freak.
That's musician nerdship right there.
100%.
Just caring about any of that.
Yes.
Like that part of it. That's a nerd, like, cool thing. Yeah,
but that's like the honor. That's the honor and integrity that I talk about. Like, there's such an honor to this craft. Like, to have people like that back up your music. I'm sure for Joe Bonamassa, whatever scale, he's like, it's fucking crazy. I got this guy playing for me.
Loves,
you know what I mean?
And people be like, so what? And he'd be like, you don't understand.
Yeah. At a much smaller scale, that's like me having like John Owens or like Michelangelo or Frank Alongi, right? Like those guys are freaks.
Mm-hmm. And you see like Mayer doing his like trio thing every now and again. He's got like Pino Palladino and Jordan, Jordan on the drums and stuff. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, and it's so funny. People are like, he's doing this trio thing. I'm like, that guy plays for the Who, right? And like that drummer, made cocktail kits a real thing, right? Steve Jordan, like badasses.
Just incredible music produced in that, you know. Again, it's nerdship. You got to really be paying attention. You got to be like deep in it. But I mean, like, I remember so much of this stuff, and I'm recalling it so much because at that time, like you were right in there with the rotation with like you'd call them like the mainstream artists, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I was trying to do a pop thing.
I was listening to as much of you as I was listening to anything.
Mm.
I mean, we had no doubt at some point you were going to be like the next,
That was the dream.
But that was like you're so driven too to do it. We're like, well, there's no way they're stopping this guy. They're gonna have to shoot him. They're gonna have to put
why
his
not?
ass down.
Yeah. I'm playing 200, 250 shows a year. Like, why not?
You were hustling. I think the latest iteration that I saw you in was probably at like Lincoln Hall, and I don't even know if that was 4, 5, 6 years ago.
That was maybe a decade ago.
And it could be longer. Yeah, longer. But
yeah.
It was maybe after you had like put like Heart Attack and stuff out. Does that sound right?
That stuff. Yep.
Yeah, Rockstar. Like,
geez. Yep.
I mean, I still love that stuff. You know what I was noticing though, watching you, my musical nerdship and like because music's music, but then there's like the shit around music. Like my kid, your kid's a softball player. Like my kid's a baseball player.
Yeah.
Like my kid loves baseball, but he also loves the gloves and shit.
So
how about guitars? Like,
oh yes.
You told me, I think briefly years ago, the story about that Gibson maybe that you were gifted. Was there like an ES335 or something?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. How did you end up with that guitar?
So that guitar is a beautiful gift from Pete and Anita. And I met Pete and Anita maybe 15 years ago. I was playing with the band at Navy Pier.
I remember. We saw you there actually. Yeah, we actually came by for like one of the daytime shows or something in that little stage.
Yeah. At the time, it was the Landshark Beer Garden.
Yes.
Whoever sponsors it
the
now.
old Budweiser brand, Landshark or whatever.
Totally. And I remember I had Miles and Miranda there. They were little, maybe like 6.
Was it that guitar there? Is that the one we're talking about right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally. I still have it. That thing is. The neck on that thing and the versatility of those pickups is unbelievable. So this is a crazy story. So, Pete and Anita became really good friends. They met me. I met them at Navy Pier, and I had my kids on stage talking about being a dad and all that stuff, and they were just really sweet. I think they bought 10 CDs.
Damn.
10 CDs because they just love music or whatever. And we became really good friends. They supported my music and all this stuff. And they've done a lot of work in philanthropy and stuff. And they acquired a bunch of guitars from an ex-Cubs player. I'm not going to name the name.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Why not?
But they're
Will
like,
you tell me off, Mike?
And then they came, and then they invited me over. They had this ridiculous condo. You know the building right off of the lake? It's the building that's the furthest out into the lake. Like Oprah lived there. It's a huge. I can't remember the name, but
I don't know.
Whatever.
I'm a suburban boy.
Yeah. Anyway, they were living it up. And that's why they were so generous.
Hell
but they invited me over, and they had 3 guitars that they had procured, and they were going to donate them to charity. One of them was this Gretsch White Falcon. Do you know what that looks like? It's a hollow body white with gold hardware.
You know I'm about to find out.
Oh my God, dude, this thing is gorgeous. It's a little gaudy for me as I'm wearing chains and all that stuff.
Turtleneck and chain.
Yeah, it's cold.
Am I on the right track?
Yeah.
Here? Can you see it?
Yeah,
I know it's not up on the screen yet.
Yes, they had one of those. Oh man,
like
the White Falcon.
Like this guy.
Oh yeah, look at the Bigsby pickup and like the hardware and those pickups. Oh, or the tailpiece.
Look at that Falcon on there though. That's
It's
cool
gorgeous.
shit.
So they had one of those. They had the ESP35, and then I can't remember what the other one was. And they're like, play them. And so I'm playing them, and like, oh my God, these are gorgeous. But the neck of the 335, that red one, is unbelievable, to the point where like all my other friends are like, dude, this thing's a beast.
It's not even fair.
And I'm like, I love this one. And they're like, well, it's yours. I'm like, what? No, I can't. And they're like, no, we want you to have it. We just want you to continue to like, keep doing it for your kids and, don't give up. And I'm like, I can't accept this. Like, we're not taking it back. So
you don't really have a choice.
That's a beautiful gift that I've had. And every time I pick it up, it's funny. I'll post videos of me playing it, and Pete especially, we stay in touch, and he's like, still looks gorgeous. I'm like, it still sounds perfect. So I'm really thankful for that.
What a beautiful guitar. Once I saw Clapton playing that thing once. So, oh my God, I'm on the wrong. What happened here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I saw Clapton playing that thing once, and I just like fell in love with that guitar specifically years ago. And then I see you all of a sudden had one. I was like, no shit,
It's
this guy.
beautiful. You got to come play it sometime.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. Do you remember like when your first like guitar or amp that you were like obsessed with? And why you talk about that? I have to make a camera adjustment, but you just keep talking.
Do that. My mom and dad gifted me a guitar for my 8th grade graduation. And my dad, I remember, I'll never forget it. My dad sat me down in the living room and he's like, your mom and I are really, you're doing good with school. We love how much you love music.
I like where this is going.
Yeah, we want to buy you a guitar. So I'm like, really? And I had this clunky Cort. You know the brand Cort, C-O-R-T? Yeah. And like, it's funny, I got that maybe like 6th grade, and I picked it out because it looked cool. It had like a gloss finish, and like it was pretty. And then it was between that and like a boring Fender. What I realized is that the Cort that I picked, the neck was so fat, and it had so much Yeah, it had so much lacquer on it that it just choked the sound, and like a more natural would have been fine, right? Whatever. But I picked it because of vanity. Imagine that.
Obviously. Got to look good for you it can sound good.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any better. All the guitars afterwards are even more vain. So anyway.
Sexy.
Yeah. So my dad's like, we're going to go to Guitar Center and you get to pick out a guitar. And I'm like, holy shit. So we went to Guitar Center.
What are my budget restrictions?
Yeah. And I found, so at the time, my cousin... JD, she was obsessed with like the Indigo Girls and like Melissa Etheridge, and then I was obsessed with Dave Matthews. You talk about that Chet Atkins, black,
that thin one. That thin,
my god, I was obsessed.
He's got one. My uncle's got one, but it's maroon.
Yeah,
I think it's maroon.
So those types of guitars, which are non-traditional, because I was so sick of like driving the hoopty. My Cort was like a hoopty, just like a really big, like you try to parallel park that bitch, it's just hard, right? And I wanted something more aerodynamic or whatever. So I found this beautiful shallow bowl Ovation. It's black. I still have it. It's on my wall.
Wait.
Oh my gosh. Yup. Oh, look at that. See?
Pays to be your own
always
producer.
had the swagger.
Dude,
look at that.
Did not care.
Yeah.
This is like seeing your photos or something, isn't it? This is like seeing your
crazy.
photos.
Yeah.
Well, I remember this guitar. It's funny that you're telling that story. I don't know if it was this guitar or at some point I thought you or maybe somebody else had gifted down Wes one, because Wes had an Ovation when I first met him.
Oh, yeah. Again, my cousin JD got us all into Ovations, right? Yeah. So that, and I remember reading, I was obsessed with Dave Matthews. I remember reading a biography of him, and there were old photos of him with that Ovation. It was before he got the Chet Atkins. So I'm like, my cousin's obsessed with this. It's a thin guitar.
Bowl
it's
on the back.
Black.
Plastic bowl.
Yeah, it's like airplane. It's made of airplane. Yeah, sliding out my leg. Yeah, is logistically not a smart idea, and it sounded awful unplugged. It sounded great plugged in.
So funny.
But anyway, that was like one of my fondest memories of like, holy shit, I get to go make a choice, and like I wrote so many songs. I wrote Home on that guitar in 5 minutes.
What a great song.
Thanks,
still know all the words to that song.
I was here's what's crazy. I was just in Austin, Texas. I reconnected with an old friend of mine that I knew back in the days when I was at NIU in DeKalb. He still covers Home till this day. That's
hilarious.
And he played it for me, and it was just fucking weird. In the most beautiful.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that bizarre?
It's just weird.
See that. 20 years ago, that would have been even more bizarre, I think, for you. But I think now you've had perspective and time.
Sure,
it's like that's kind of an honor to be like, man, that was flattering. Like
it is. But that guitar part was amazing.
What's there's a song that you do that's like, it's like E, A minor and like B or something. It was a big open like.
Where Are You Now?
That's it. That's I used to cover that song.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, those chords feel good.
Me and Jimmy would dick around with that all the time.
Oh, that's
sweet.
Like
almost like you're playing a bar chord without the bar. Like
you
just off of it. And just
you let the drone ring out.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
Thanks,
man. Song. You know what just popped into my head that I forgot that we even did together was you and was it Vin Nguyen?
Jason Van Leeuwen.
Remember you guys? I forgot you guys did that little duo thing in Joliet. Remember we filmed it and everything.
Where was that?
It was called like The Tree or something at the time. but it was like
Oh, that big
Forge,
venue.
and
It used to be like a
yes.
metal venue.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Oh
exactly.
my gosh.
Remember that?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
actually
yeah.
have. I still have the video of you two like playing a set that night.
That's
I totally forgot
crazy.
you guys. We like came out and hung out. I think you guys stayed here or stayed at our old house maybe. That
Probably.
night we partied a little bit that night. It
Yeah,
was good
imagine.
times.
Oh, we partied after a gig,
It was
Joe?
a good time. Probably like Vasu was probably there. My brother. Who
Oh
knows?
my God,
Who knows?
Jim. Yeah.
I totally forgot about that iteration with the fiddle. Like
Yes.
the violin. I mean, what do you call it? Fiddle?
No,
electric violin.
Fiddle is like the term in like country music.
Yeah.
Yeah, violin.
That dude could go. He could throw down.
He shreds, dude.
You always found musicians. Like,
That's
you
what I'm
always
talking
found-
about.
It's
Like,
crazy.
I don't know.
Why are you blessed? Why do you, or are you just
You
see
really
them
wanna-
and you're like, I need you.
Okay,
Like,
you really want to know why? I think part of it is I'm a marketing freak.
you whore.
I'm really good at marketing. Here's the honest truth. I'm not a great singer. I'm not a great guitar player.
You're kind of a legit singer though.
Not anymore.
No, you think your voice is gone over
it's definitely-
age? Just age?
That and
You think
like,
it's just age?
yeah.
Riding it
I
hard.
just haven't practiced. I just don't think. I think I'm a great performer, and I think I'm a great.
Agree.
I think I'm great on stage. I think all the other things, like there's people way better than me in all of them. But here's the thing. I was always really good at getting the fucking gig. I can get the fucking gig, and I'm really good at marketing and promoting the gig and
Confidence.
making people look good, right? So people wanted to play my gigs. People wanted to feed off of the crowd, and like, again, it's this idea of like I can create a vibe and an energy that like everybody wins. Whether you're a musician on stage, you're gonna get seen, you're gonna get heard, you're gonna flex, and I want you to, and the crowd's gonna love you for it, right? So for talented musicians to be showcased that way, I know that was a big value proposition for them being a part of whatever I was doing, because I was just excited to have really badass musicians, and I'd almost deflect and talk more about them than I would about me.
Yeah, you're a worker too, right? I mean, like you're kind of a hustler, right? You're just like a boots on the ground. Like you're gonna go get shit done. Like you're not really fucking around. That kind of pours over to. It seems like it's pouring over to your modern now professional life too. You just seem like you're jet setting all over the place. I mean, we haven't even gotten into that yet. Like, is it Microsoft? I mean, or something else, a different company maybe.
Sure.
Some tech. Oh, some tech company. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember years ago. Didn't you work for LinkedIn at some point?
Yeah.
Or something years and years.
Totally.
Ago? Yeah. Yeah, so that went from like, obviously we can keep going down the music route, but I'm like that whole mentality of hustle, right? And like putting in a good day's, like a hard day's work, and like getting what you put in. It seems like that kind of goes a long way for you.
I appreciate you acknowledging that, and like now that I'm getting close to 50.
Oh my God! Don't start talking like that.
I turned 46 in a month, December 29th.
Yeah, you and Jim Bob are right there.
Yeah.
Jim Bob's just
Jim Bob.
younger than you by just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like a year or two.
But I will always look way younger than all of you.
100%.
Always.
Yeah,
I'm just
you
kidding.
don't crack. That's for
the
sure.
It's the melanin. Yeah.
It's wild how good. Like you guys are gonna look good forever.
Although I drink a lot of water and I work out like a motherfucker, so there's that too.
The king of Instagram planks.
Sure, it's just there's
Great music
traps
too.
to
Always
make
great
sure.
music too.
Yeah, you gotta get the soundtrack to
You
the
always
workout.
put the good music on there.
Yeah, that's what gets me through the workout, dude. Honestly, I don't like working out, but it's the way I get my fuck yous out. You know what I mean?
I hear you. Do you have that thing where you feel like you're like it's like mentally running from something, or like you're just suppressing demons while you do it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got therapists for that, but also
That too?
it still lingers in my body. There's still a fuck you energy in my body all the time. I just found a way to make it more positive. Because the good and bad of the music industry, right? Like, and pursuing, not even the music industry. I think when you pursue something like an art or like a passion, and money is not the motivator, at some point, money is what fucking breaks you, because you got to live a life, right? And so, like that marries what you just said about like the hustle. The hustle initially was just like, I love music. And everybody seems to acknowledge that I love music, to the point where they show up and they sing along, or they'll pay the cover, or they'll buy me drinks, or hand me drugs, or offer me themselves. It's great.
Yes.
Like there's these things that happen.
Women, men, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, no, they all. Who doesn't want to be with the alpha? And right, and like you get caught up in the energy of a performance and a performer, right? It's like that's attractive to me. Someone that's really good at what they do and that they love.
Yeah.
So
I do it too. I find myself as like an audience member sometimes when you see like somebody perform, like you get like caught up in that.
of course,
Like like a play,
Yes.
you go see a play, you're just
Everything.
like, it doesn't even matter what she looks like. It's just
No.
like, damn, look at her fucking controlling,
killing
this.
it.
Like,
Yeah,
you're just like,
that's
wow.
what this woman or what this man or this person does. Like that's attractive to me.
Yeah.
So that was always a thing for me. And so when it came to the hustle, I was just relentless in trying to get in front of so many people because I just got a lot of positive affirmations by doing what I love to do. And then eventually when I needed to make it somewhat of a career and like, you know, we'll get into the kids thing, right? Like my daughter showing up at the age of 28 and Miles showing up at the age of 30, that changed my life. And a lot happened in that moment, in those years. But I realized no one's going to push you harder than you. And I used to think that managers and record labels and all that stuff was the answer. And everybody goes through that growing phase. And it's like, you know, and you fast forward to today, right? Like what the internet's done to democratize and create opportunity for anybody and everybody with a talent to get out there. Like I just had to go get mine. And I wasn't going to rely on anybody else to do it for me because nobody else could do it better than me.
So how long when did you develop that mentality? Like in your early 20s and you're just like playing every night, you know, damn near every night. Like when did you start to like look at it? You know, is there a point where you started to make it more adult when you were like, okay, I have to have a plan for the music now. It's not, I can't just play every show every week. What's my like growth? Where am I going for this? So like, when did that start to kind of dawn on you? And then you started being like, ah, shit. Like, did you start losing passion when that was happening?
No.
Or is it just, like you said, you developed that mentality, like nobody's going to do it better than me. So
yeah. So you nailed it. The 20s, right? So I officially dropped out of college. You know, OAR's record label, Everfine Records, was an independent record label. I made friends that were connected to that through my college network, and they somewhat incubated me and gave me opportunities and opened the door for me to go tour and network and play. When I realized that was a reality, I dropped out of college. It was really hard and shameful for everybody involved, and I felt really guilty. My parents supported it. It was hard for them, but because of my own guilt and shame, I pulled myself away from my family for a minute so I could focus. And I turned it into a legitimate job. So I practiced guitar 6 hours a day, treated it like a job, and then I grinded the internet. So I picked up the Chicago Reader, the Illinois Entertainer, these publications that would list out venues and booking agents and all that shit. And I started creating spreadsheets of every place I wanted to play, who the booking agents were. And I would just, here's the thing too, I realized early, I created an email address with a girl's name representing myself because I knew that these booking agents would respond to a girl emailing them versus me, the artist, emailing them directly. So I learned that quickly. And I became a BDR and SDR for myself. Like that's how I learned the inside sales game and like how to fill the top of the funnel, right? We'll transition to work in a minute, but I just grinded because
corporate Mer.
Yeah. But that's why I killed it in corporate because I already had that tenacity and I already had that muscle to the point where then I started with the Chicago network and then I started the college network. And then I would, you know, because of you guys, like let's say use Western as a use case, I had pockets of friends and family at all the Big Ten SEC schools in the Midwest. And basically I would show up to a bar and I would play and I'd be like, hey, pay me like $200. I'll play for 3 hours. I'll set up my own PA and give me $100 bar tab. I'm going to pack this place. If you're happy with the bar ring, I'd love to come back once a semester, once a quarter. Mm-hmm. And then all of you fuckers would show up and we would rage and we'd party and the bartenders were like, you guys can come back whenever you want.
University of Iowa Yacht Club.
Oh
in
my
2003
God,
or 4 maybe?
Yep.
Yeah, in the basement.
Yep.
Vodka gimlets and blackout drunk with Matt Morocco and Jimmy Bellavia.
My gosh.
Man, we slept head to toe on a couch that night. It was awesome.
Iowa City. That was a good time.
Yes. Anyway, sorry, go on. I didn't mean
No. I love that you're throwing it back to that
time. This is that time you were describing.
But that's the thing is like I had friends like you that were just like catalysts in all these different markets. And so I learned the guerrilla marketing fast. And then I got into like, this is the business brain. Every college has like a student union board or like a entertainment committee. Mm-hmm. So I learned that they had money and I would go play a cafeteria gig for $1,200 during study hour at the quad or whatever at the college. And then I would tell the bars like, hey, it's my first time playing your bar. I'm playing at the university earlier in the morning, in the day, and they're putting them up in a hotel. Here's my ask. If you could just give me like $150 and $100 bar tab or whatever the hustle was, I can bring all these kids to you. And if you like it, the next time I come, I'm going to ask you for $400 and whatever. And I nailed it every time. So then I capitalized on you guys and all your friends. And then when all your siblings came in afterwards and went back to that school and sorority and fraternity, I just compounded the guerrilla marketing efforts from like the SDR BDR hustle. It was unbelievable.
You were wild. You're a wild boy. Just like that business acumen that nobody ever saw it though. Like nobody ever thought. I don't think anybody ever saw it on the outside. You know, like all of us that would come to the show and hang out with you afterwards or something. It's never like you were like, oh, dude, you guys have no idea. I did all this like smart marketing stuff. You're just there with us, like you were just one of the dudes just hanging out. We're just gonna roll some joints, and drink some beer and hang out.
I mean, I'm a self-proclaimed douchebag. Look, like. I would rather people pay attention.
Look good, feel good.
I would rather people pay attention to my fashion and my guitar skills than like, oh, how did you get this gig? Or like, nice job on the marketing. Or how'd you do that radio interview? Like,
you're like, wait, look over here.
Nobody cares, you know.
So that was. Do you remember like your biggest? Like biggest stage when you got to it, or like I opened for this person, or like what moments like shocked you throughout your time?
House of Blues, Chicago.
Yeah. The stage itself, the people you were with, or just
everything about it, dude.
Set me up for that?
Yeah.
How do we get there?
Yeah. So 2 parts. Number 1, do you remember my cousin Mark Blass? He's a drummer. He had a recording studio.
Do. Yeah, that's the tower. No, top of the something record, rooftop something.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
Top of the roof,
attic, a roof. Oh God.
I remember the record company. I remember you would record there.
So my cousin Mark was a huge influence, and a really big advocate at the very beginning. Like where I recorded my first album in high school called Dreams.
Dreams. Oh,
do you remember that?
I don't think I ever heard that.
Oh my God.
I don't think I ever heard that album.
Good.
I think the first thing I heard was Handwritten.
Good.
That's when you were opening the faucet up to get the rusty water out.
I had cassette tapes made, and we sold it in the lunchroom. I'm sure my mom's got them somewhere. And my uncle June did the graphic design for it. Anyway, so
dude, I want to find it now.
My cousin Mark was really instrumental in helping me love like music. And I remember he took me, like, one, it was just cool to hang out with your older cousins. And he took me, like, he was in marching band. He got me into Van Halen. He got me into Quiet Riot, like 80s, dude. And it was a time of MTV.
Right.
And he was a cool drummer. He had a band and he was in marching band. Like, he really got me excited about pursuing a music career. And I remember he took me to House of Blues to see a band called Soul Live. He was really into like fusion, like jazz at the time, like funk jazz stuff. And I think it was Soul Live. To this day, I still listen to Soul Live. I work out to that shit. It's great. I remember standing. It was my first time at House of Blues, and I was hanging out with my cousin, and it was the coolest thing in the world. I remember standing on the floor in the middle, thinking like, this is the coolest thing. And like, I remember crying because I was so happy.
Oh, damn.
I still cry at concerts.
I like that.
Like, you know, especially now I go to concerts with my kids, I fucking lose my shit. They can't see it. I don't want them to see it, but I do. I remember being so emotional that I cried because I'm like, this is it. This is me walking in. I'm going to manifest this shit. And I was maybe like 16 at the time. And then the first time I played House of Blues, I was 20 years old. Everfine Records, headquartered in New York, gave me an opportunity to open for a band called Virginia Coalition, and a band called Red Wanting Blue. And they needed a local opener. And I had a friend that was out there working with the label that was shooting photos for them, Jeremy Schultz, Jamwire Productions, if you remember that. Nope. He shot photos for stuff.
Nice.
And got me in. And like, I brought the house. Because I was like, guys, I'm playing House of Blues. And all my friends at the time,
like,
dispensable
really
income, like all,
me.
You know, you think about the momentum that had built in the college scene. And then all those kids graduate and move to Chicago with all the stupid money they make. And now their friend is playing at House of Blues. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to fucking be there.
Yeah, we're there.
We turned it out. And that was it. That was, I mean, I'm still getting the chills thinking about it. I remember 16. getting the chills and crying, being like, I'm going to manifest this. And then 4 years later, fucking nailed it. Like
on the stage.
That's it, man. Like, that's it. Like, that's what I want to empower my kids to do. Envision it, do it. I did it. You can do it. You know, that was a momentous gig for me. And still to this day, House of Blues is one of the most gorgeous venues, and it still just holds a really special place in my heart.
You've played there a lot, though, haven't you? Yeah.
I mean, Mer's Music Showcases had a residency there.
Yeah, right,
you know,
right.
Fast forward to today.
You were at Cubby Bear for. Do you guys still do the Cubby Bear stuff, or is
it's gone somewhere else? It's gone in and out. So the residencies for the showcase has been Cubby Bear, House of Blues, and Navy Pier.
Do you ever have anybody like show up to those showcases like that? You're like, whoa, that's like a legit touring musician or anything like
all the time.
Have crazy like shit. Yeah.
I mean, even now more than ever, I get to pick and choose who I want. Like, again, being a fan of music, I just get to invite people, and it goes back to what I said. Like, I get the motherfucking gig, and I'm really good at marketing. So I will make you look good. I will set you up to win. I will hype you up when you get on stage, and everyone will love you.
Incubation. Just keep them safe, keep them warm.
Yeah,
keep everybody safe.
Dude. That's the only reason why I still get to play music is because I've been able to create a brand in Chicago where all I'm doing is highlighting other people's original music, and then I'm just weaseling my way in there too. You're gonna have to listen to me to the point where people like I've invited artists.
You're like the host at the
100%
comedian. You know, like at a stand-up.
Totally,
you got a feature act. You got
it's the same
host,
exact thing.
You know, you got your middle and your headliner.
It is. It's to the point where some of these newer artists that I come to find or I get introduced to, you know, like we're doing sound checks and stuff, and I've got my guitar on and I'm sound checking. Like, oh, you play too? And I'm like, yeah, a little bit.
I'm not just the guy.
And then I'll open
and
up.
Then you're like Spanish song.
Exactly. Yep. Shred. And they're like,
shit,
wait a minute.
Play a little bit too.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, House of Blues was momentous, and I still somehow get to play music and host these showcases.
Yeah. Just like honored and gratitude for doing it, which is, you know, that shows the level of passion you have for the thing that you're doing. To me, that's something that's like a major sign for me in anything.
Thanks, dude.
You know, I could sit here and talk for 3 hours to anybody who is passionate about something. You
sure.
know, I don't care if you're making fucking knives for a living.
Yeah.
Or
if it's your thing, it's your thing.
Your custom toilet paper rolls or something. I don't know. But, you know, like that's anybody who has like that passion for something is bound to have an interesting kind of take on it or story with it. So that's kind of, you know, that's the whole reason I thought you'd be a great interview anyway. So
I appreciate
here
that.
we are.
Thank you.
Obviously you're still going to see live music. I don't know if we should separate this into categories or what, but like it's like the dopest like live performance you've seen. I mean, maybe we talk recent, maybe we talk mainstreamish, people will know, or maybe because I know you've seen some goddamn underground artists nobody's ever heard of that just blew your mind.
Yeah. That's a hard, I don't know, man. I'm going to fast forward to today, and we're going to bring my kids into this conversation.
I was just about to say, what about Miles and Miranda? Like, what have you taken them to that, like?
Okay, so it's really cool to learn about music through my kids and what they're into. So Miranda loves country. I would never get as deep into country as I have now until my daughter. And then Miles is really into, like, rap. And, like, I was a little closer to rap, but, like, you know. And then Miles also loves like fusion. Like he's like, oh, have you heard of Sound Tribe Sector 9? I'm like, oh, I fucking love you. Yeah, I have, you asshole.
Yeah. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it sounds cool.
So Miranda's gotten really big into like Morgan Wallen and
Zach Bryan.
And like
what a huge thing that they're building.
I've taken her and her friends like in the pit front row to Morgan Wallen twice, 3 times, you know, Zach Bryan now twice. We just went for her 18th birthday. We flew to Minneapolis to go see him in that stadium where the Vikings play. Oh, it's crazy.
What a cool stadium.
Yeah. It's awesome. So that song, what is that, Revival? Like his big banger at the end, like in Minneapolis, it turned into a giant, like quote unquote mosh pit. And I was worried for a minute because it got aggressive, but you know, Miranda can hold her own. Miranda could beat up Miles probably. Actually, no, she probably could. I'd put my money on her.
Soccer players, you know.
Yeah, Miranda's a beast. Miranda's a beast. But that to me was really, it was just beautiful because I know how much I love music, and to see your kids when they hear their favorite song, like think about when you hear your favorite song, you're screaming your head off.
Locked in.
Then I'm watching my kids do that. I lose my mind. That's everything I want. And then like that they encore with that song. It's like 15 minutes long and go crazy and everybody's jumping around. Like that was really fucking awesome. That was awesome.
He got me digging into that Warren Treaty.
Oh yeah! Oh my gosh!
How good are they?
Yeah,
man,
they're amazing.
cool.
Michael and their voices are unbelievable.
Unbelievable. They were just on they were on like the Thanksgiving Day parade on the float this past week.
They're
and I was like,
blowing up.
that's old boy from that's the couple from the song from Zach Bryan's song.
We saw them.
That's a great song too, by the way. A beautiful song.
I saw them for the first time open for Chris Stapleton and Marcus King. Do you know Marcus King?
Yeah,
He's a ridiculous guitar player.
Yeah, barely, but
yeah, he's a freak guitar player. Another like Joe Bonamassa-ish guy, right? But anyway, we saw Warren Treaty. Wait, is that their name?
Yeah, Warren Treaty, I think is the name of
the. We saw them open for Chris Stapleton, and like we were blown away on the vocals. So that was the first time we saw them, and like we knew they were going to be big. So it's really cool to, and that's another thing too, like to find music with my kids right before these artists blow up. It's just a cool thing because it's like. Remember, we saw him open up for Stapleton, and now they're at the CMAs and shit. Like we were there, motherfucker.
That's wild.
So like that recently with Miranda has been great, and then with Miles, the music he's into is a little bit more what I'm into. So there's two things. One, I took him to Lollapalooza for the first time a couple of years ago, and he wanted to see Kendrick Lamar. Huge Kendrick Lamar fan, and I remember, I got, thank goodness for corporate America, I got VIP tickets, and like we worked our way to the front of the section, and like Kendrick Lamar came on, and like number one, that motherfucker's an entertainer. Like you talk about, like he doesn't even play an instrument. He's just he's got a microphone and he slays and everyone's with it. And just that vibe and like being at Lollapalooza at night and like just the weather was perfect and I'm there with my son.
That with your son.
That's what he wanted. That was amazing and that made me cry. And then he's really okay. So there's this hat I wear all the time, Dirty Loops. Have you heard of this band, Dirty Loops?
No.
They're a freakishly, unbelievably talented. Like these guys are Olympians and gymnasts of their instrument and craft. It's three dudes from Sweden, and it's like pop, like Swedish pop meets ridiculous jazz fusion. These guys are Olympians of their craft.
What do you mean by like? Is it like the arrangement? Is it the technical skill?
You'll have to listen to a track and you'll see what I mean. Dirty Loops.
Dirty Loops.
Yep. So they haven't toured. They don't tour much in the U.S. And Miles and I have been keeping tabs on their dates. They were playing House of Blues Chicago, and I was so stoked. But the show was 17 and over, and Miles was 16. And I'm like, do I try to get in trouble at House of Blues and bring in my 16-year-old son? Then. Without him knowing, I looked at their tour dates and
Wait, is this House of Blues and you?
I mean,
kids. Yes,
dude. Fuck, you're gonna make me. Yes, I nailed it. That's it. That's all I care about.
You did it.
That's all I care about. Miranda was throwing pics out to the crowd.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's fucking.
Anyway, sorry.
No, there's
you
no
started. It was like right there in front of me.
Thank
you
you
said House of Blues and your kids.
Yeah. So then I saw that Dirty Loops was playing an all-ages show in Los Angeles. I'm like, fuck it. So I talked to Miles's mom before I asked him. I'm like,
otherwise it's kidnapping.
We're gonna take a 48-hour trip, like literally in and out to go see this band. And then he didn't know this, but I got a VIP package. So we got in during sound check. We went in early during sound check and got to meet the band. We got autographs.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I got to talk to him real quick, and we got to watch the sound check and then, all this stuff. So we went out there. We flew out there. Like, he knew we were going. He didn't know about the VIP thing. So we ended up, doors at 7. We show up. I'm like, hey, let's just go there early and see what's going on. I didn't tell him yet. So we get in line at like 4 o'clock. He's like, okay, whatever. And there's a bunch of dudes. It's a dude crowd, right? Jazz fusion. It's a bunch of dudes, and they're all hanging out, getting excited. And I was like, hey, can you guys tell my son what we're in line for? And one of the guys like, yeah, man, this is a VIP. We're going to check out soundcheck. And Miles is just like, again, cool teenager, trying not to. He's like
oh,
cool.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's it? That's all you got to fucking say? I fucking hooked you up, and that's all you got. But, in teenage speak, that's like, fuck yeah.
I don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah. So that, and there's, I don't know, that whole experience, because I love that band, and the fact that he loves that band is just another thing. And it's like there's nobody else I'd want to go see Dirty Loops with. So that one for me recently is just that one wrecks me.
Killer connection right there.
Yeah.
So how is it now? Like when they're as they're advancing in age and they're bringing you like what they're into.
Yeah.
How hard do you go on it? Are you like, let me hear it. Let me sit with this band a couple of days because I'm gonna tear them apart. If you like, did you have a hard time not tearing the country music apart? Do you have a hard time being like these guys? I mean, you got to figure out who's writing, who's playing instruments, who's like how corporatized almost they are. Like,
so you
must have a critique or a big eye, a heavy eye on like
Yeah,
I find myself too. Like, you don't even write their own shit though.
Yeah, everyone's a critic these days, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no right or wrong. I think where the music Miranda brings, that to me is the newest, and so I'm the most not critical. Like I give everybody a fair shot. And like she listens to like really big artists, so like obviously they're big and they made it. So Morgan Wallen for me was brand new out of nowhere, and as I got into his music and learned about his path, like he was on The Voice and like worked with and then I found Hardy. Have you heard of this guy Hardy? Yeah. Like Hardy's written a bunch of shit. He's a bang.
He's at what? He's on the end of that Post Malone album, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that is it the gun Hide My Gun song, I think. Is that him?
Yep.
Yeah.
But the writing there, and then seeing Morgan Wallen perform live, like he puts on a fucking show. And his the musicianship of the backup bands is unbelievable. I mean, and I don't have anything negative. I don't go in like critiquing. I'm not like a naysayer anymore. I used to be.
You don't start on the negative. You're like,
it's just like I like what
I'll listen to it.
Yeah, I like what
send me a link.
Yeah, and I'll tell there's a couple artists that we've seen, like this guy Ernest. He's another great writer. He's a country guy. Like we saw him open up for Morgan.
Yep. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. I told Miranda, I'm like, great songwriting, boring as fuck live. Yeah. I could do without. Like that's where my critique comes.
There's got to be some common stuff now.
Yeah.
Like just the performance aspect of it.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of touched on it earlier with the YouTube folks and people put them on stage, 30 minutes.
Sure.
It's like,
but some of that stuff, and it's a preference thing for me too. Like, okay, let's go back to the days where you and I were watching people come up. Like I was obsessed with Howie Day. Remember I was doing the looping thing?
Yeah, me too.
But here's the thing. I've seen Howie Day without a looper, and he's boring as fuck because it's like your songs are sad and sappy, and you kind of like write a one-trick pony. That's not a negative thing. Like that was his brand. And if you think about him and John Mayer coming up at the same time, like it's crazy to see how their careers.
Jason Mraz, John Mayer.
Yeah.
That little crop.
But like, Howie Day, great songwriter, awesome with the looper. He was doing shit with the looper and producing live that nobody was really seeing in the pop world. Amazing. But then you see him without that shit, and you see him with a band. It's like, oh fuck, dude, no,
weird,
no thanks. So like, I don't care the genre, whatever. I'm just personally biased to entertainers. I mean, that's why I'm an entertainer.
I was thinking about that crop and era of like male performers like that. Like a guy like Matt Nathanson. Like, he's been doing it forever.
Ever.
And he achieved some like commercial success, but he never
get higher.
Right. He never really like boom, like really hit everybody. Like,
no.
But then you see like modern, right? And a guy personally, I can't say a bad word about this person. Ed Sheeran is like,
lovely.
He's so talented. Like just you talked about the looper stuff, writing, producing, writing songs for others.
Yeah.
I mean, I think half of One Direction's fucking library was his
He's an
music,
amazing writer, and just even his voice, right? It's just
a hustler, just like a worker
everywhere. Yeah,
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a show that I would like to. I've not seen him, but I'd love to go see him. I mean, and I think he's doing a band now, but I wish I would have seen him like in his solo.
Yeah, when he was
days,
he was really hitting it.
You mean to sell out Wembley by yourself for three nights
with a small guitar and a looper,
with a custom made looper? I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, agreed.
So we brought Miranda and Miles into this. So do we want to hit that part of that? I mean, so that comes to you. I think you mentioned age 28. Like, so you're fucking cooking. Your music every night.
Yep. And then
it's like, a kid.
My girlfriend at the time, I worked. So I was living in DeKalb because it was cheap, and I would be on the road. On average, I was on the road 3 weeks and then home for a week. On the road 3 weeks, home for a week. And I had a situation. One of my very good friends, actually, today's his birthday. His name's Corey Troutvetter.
Corey.
He passed away a couple years ago.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Damn.
He was my homie. He came
Today's his birthday.
literally
Oh,
today.
shit.
I just talked to his son Ty.
It's December 2nd today,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
December 2nd.
I talked to his son Ty, he and I are tight. I just took Ty to go. He loves jazz, and I took him to the jazz showcase for the first time in the city. Andy's Jazz Club. Sorry, he's not 21 yet. Andy's Jazz Club.
Shh. Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Anyway, so I was living in DeKalb because it was cheap and it was easy. One of my best friends, Corey Troutvetter, was a bartender at a towny bar. And I remember I had this residency in the basement of Otto's. Do you remember a venue called Otto's
No.
in DeKalb? Okay.
No, I never got out to the Cal much.
Got
I
it.
just didn't have many people there.
All good. So there was a venue called Otto's, and I had a Wednesday night residency, and it was penny pitchers because they could still do that
Jesus,
back in the
dude.
day, right? Like people get shit canned.
Those were the days.
I know. And my buddy Corey was a bartender at a towny bar, and I remember saying, "Hey, I'm broke. I need a job while I'm home." And like he's like, "Can you pour drinks?" I'm like, "I can drink drinks. I'm pretty sure I can pour them."
Do it.
And so he got me a job as a bartender at this place called Twins Tavern, just outside of the campus. It's like a lot of blue collar workers from like the Ford factory or like the Nestle factory.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of farmers,
Nestle factory.
yeah, like this Filipino guy working at this towny. Like I learned a lot, right? Like barkeep, like real things. Anyway, so I was working there, and I ended up dating the waitress there. Remember that song "Revealed" with the do-rag style?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
That was Amanda, Miranda's mom. And I remember getting a phone call. I think I was in LA. I was on the road, and she's like, "Hey, we need to talk." I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" And she's like, "I'm pregnant and I want to keep it." I'm like, "I'm in." And that was it. That was my life changed. Like, holy fucking shit. Like, my life changed forever. And it took me a minute to get my head out of my ass and take ownership of that. And then, like real talk, I hadn't taken ownership of that completely, and I was still living the lifestyle. And I think ironically that around the same time that I got that news from Amanda, I played at ASU, Arizona State University, and that's where I met Miles's mom, Cassie. She was a freshman or a sophomore there, and one of my buddies from DeKalb was dating her roommate, and we were just platonic friends. But that's how that started. So that's actually weird to think about. I don't think I've put that timeline together that way, but that's interesting.
Thanks for that.
Thanks for that.
Did it.
Yeah, and so that was the beginning of the first like evolution, and like finding a bigger purpose. And I've been talking about it lately, that music and what you've helped me speak about tonight when you've got in the questions that you asked was, I just had this unconditional love for music. And like people talk about the hustle and the grind. I'm like, I knew no different because I was just all in. It was this undeniable love and integrity for the craft and the art and the energy. And like, I think, this as a parent, like there's nothing like having a kid to teach you how to love something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And music for me was a really good way to help warm that up. And then, it took a minute for me to figure out how to be a present father. But I did. And, at the age of 28 and 30, that's when I was like, all right, shit, I need to show up.
It's time to figure this one out, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it still took a minute. I don't think it really hit till I was like, it was great. Like I ran daddy daycare during the day, right? So like, because I was a musician, I stopped touring, and then I started playing, locally. I couldn't tour anymore, but I did all the restaurant gigs, and like I found another side hustle there, right? So I would watch the kids all day, and then logistics tap out. My mom and dad helped out a lot. My mom and dad helped out so much, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have the relationship I had with Miranda and Miles and their mothers, Cassie and Amanda, right? So thank goodness for my parents.
Shout out moms.
Yeah. Or in what we know as Lolo and Lola, right? Do you know those terms? Lolo and
No.
Lola, grandma,
No.
grandpa.
Oh no, see, we're tutus, papas, and
Yeah.
and Gigi's.
Oh, I think
but I didn't know those.
yeah, all good. Anyway,
steal him now. Is that Filipino shit?
yeah,
dude?
Lolo's grandpa. Lola. It's you
Love
know
that.
yeah.
Tutu we stole from Hawaii, from a show we saw, like a Polynesian show at the Polynesian from Disney.
I love
The
that.
grandma's name was Tutu, so that was right before Joseph was born. So
There
that's
you
what Addison was, a year and a half old. That's what she calls her, Shannon's mom, Tutu.
Aw, that's sweet.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail
No,
your
no.
conversation here.
I love that. So daddy daycare during the day, and then, mom's got off of work or whatever, logistics, then I'd go play every night. And so I played at like Bar Louie's and Rock Bottoms and
Right.
the crowd around me with Jason
Oh my
Hibbler.
God, Jason Hibbler.
Jason
Shout out
Hibbler.
Jason Hibbler. He's out there on the East Coast somewhere, probably. In
Yeah,
Virginia
doing our
or
country
something, doing
proud.
all kinds of shit.
Yeah, man. Love that guy.
Fucking taking care of our asses and playing music still.
Yeah,
I love
still.
that he's still out there doing it.
He looks
too.
the exact same. That guy doesn't age either.
He's about as handsome as you are.
I don't know.
You guys are some good looking motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You're gonna be looking like that till you're 80.
Yeah, Hibbler. Mad respect to Hibbler.
Great guy.
So I started playing restaurant gigs because I needed to make money. And then again, like the hustler in me, I figured out that I created a little business, and everyone's like, "Oh, you should play here every week." I'm like, "I can't." But here's the thing: if you just pay me, I'll get my other talented friends to come. And so I started booking other artists, right? So then I learned that I could make $300 a night playing for 3 hours. But then if I booked 4 other friends and I took 10% of that, I could make another $100 on top of my 300 for the same night. And so that's where, you talk about like the hustler mentality. It's like, I just need to make money because I'm a broke ass motherfucker and I got these kids that I don't know what to do with.
Yeah, like when did that settle in? When you like, was that immediate panic of like, okay, now I'm gonna need more money. We need to figure out ways to make more money.
Yeah, I mean that was immediate. I've never had to take care of anybody other than myself, and I lived very lean because I didn't need anything. You know what I mean? Right. But now I had to try to show up for these kids, and I had 2 of them. No clue, dude. No clue. It's scary, man. Even thinking about it now, like I don't know how I figured it out, but thank goodness I did.
Yeah, no shit. I think we all just figure it out. But you obviously have a unique situation. You got 2 close to the same age, 2 different moms.
18 months apart.
How are you balancing, mom relationships with your professional career, with coordinating with your mom and dad, with probably I'm guessing her family was probably helping out at some point too. It's like that's a lot of people to coordinate, with those kids at that young age like that, and then also maintain some level of confidence, swagger, and awesomeness on stage. Yeah.
I'm gonna flip it, man. I think it was all of them that had the patience for me. If it wasn't like lottery, luck of the draw, I got really lucky that I technically knocked up these 2 amazing women that gave me a chance. I got lucky that my mom and dad loved those kids so much that they demanded a relationship with them. And it's not a negative, like the demand word is a bit aggressive, but like they're not gonna, it's technically their.
They
first
weren't gonna let you
grandkids.
be selfish or something and be like, I'm just kind of there.
I am. Like, I was, and I that's my default is like I want to get mine, right? So I'm gonna flip it in the sense that thank goodness they all had patience and gave me opportunities to show up.
So you're just thinking like, if they would have just based everything on early on, they could have easily walked away from you and like, he's not going to help. He's not going to be the guy we need him to be. But they were patient enough for you to like at least grow into your skin for it, and like really start to understand what you were doing.
Yeah. I mean, and I think deep down they knew I love these kids and I wanted to show up. So then, the relationship was gone, like as far as like a romantic whatever, and it just became a co-parenting situation. And what's amazing is that we all figured it out before the kids were mindful and conscious, right?
Yeah, right.
So like they never saw any of the drama. They never saw any of the conflict. They never saw any of the challenges directly, which I'm thankful for. And they've grown up knowing that everybody around them loves them.
It's saying a lot. It's saying a lot to like have that that relationship with both women and like have them grow up in that environment, because I mean I know lots of people that have similar situations to that, and it's not always pretty.
It's not.
to be able to grow and get them to where they're at today. Like, holy crap, like two super functional, awesome children.
Dude, my kids are
like,
killing it, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be
I
the
love
black
watching
sheep.
it. I love watching it on the internet. That, you know, as much as I hate Facebook and Instagram
Sure.
and doom scrolling and TikTok and all this shit, like I don't love that, but I do love it for this kind of stuff, like to where I can like tangentially keep an eye on you. Like I don't, you know, sure, I'd much rather get to talk to you 3 times a week and hang out and party with you and watch you play music, but the fact that like at least I kind of know a little bit what's going on. I love to be able to see Miranda hit a home run, and you know, like you met a lot of our kids and like Fasu's kid, and like, you know, when they were, you know, when they were little, and it's just like it's cool to watch your kids grow up like that.
It's awesome. It is awesome. Yeah.
Dope ass kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, you know, and that's the perfect transition. At some point, I remember the lifestyle being too much. Like I'd play at like Rock Bottom or Irish Oak in Wrigleyville, and like I'd drive home drunk.
Yeah, right. Like the dumb shit that we've all,
you know,
been a part of
on a Wednesday, and or after a Cubby Bear showcase, and I'd make my way home safely somehow, drunk, and go to bed, and then at 6 a.m. Miles would jump on my balls in the morning, you know, and like, let's go, and I'm
wake
like,
up, bitch,
fuck, you know, and like there's that passive parenting thing for a minute, and it's like I'm hungover on the couch, turning on TV and handing him like a Go-Gurt or whatever, you
Blue's
know,
Clues time and some
yeah,
Go-Gurt.
sure, and it's like, fuck, I can't. This is not what I want, and these kids deserve more engagement, and like, you know, we know it now. But man, like the time that they're little and home is so precious, because now
I know
my kids don't even hug me, and like, you know, like it's just different, and like
I'm holding on to the tail end right now.
good. I know you got a little guy. I'm a little jealous. Like,
but even the 2 older ones, like Joseph, still hugs me.
Good.
Addison, not as much. If I want one, she'll give me one. But you know, she's not like running for it. Like Joseph actively seeks you out still at 12, which is great.
Oh, that's lovely.
We'll see. We'll see how long.
I'm
that
jealous.
lasts.
Yeah. If I want that, I gotta get a
JJ,
dog.
on the other hand, that dude is like a dopamine hit every time he walks into a room. I mean, you'll probably meet him before you leave today, because they ran out real quick because Addison had religious ed. But
good.
JJ will walk in here, and if he gets started, he will not stop talking to you.
All good.
You're gonna be like, okay, that's enough.
No,
that's
there's
enough.
no. I want to hear it. I love
hilarious.
it. Yeah. So the lifestyle thing for me just got exhausting, and I wasn't present, and I needed to do more. And financially, like I was just struggling. It was really hard. The lifestyle and the money, it was just really hard for me, and I wanted more. There's people that have made that work. I wanted more for me, and you know, I can say it now, but I knew that I was capable of more than just the music stuff, and it's like there's something in my brain I can do more with this.
Yeah.
And
did you ever doubt yourself like throughout that time? Like I want, you know, like
every
like,
fucking
this is all I
day.
do. This is all I do. This is all I know.
I
Like,
doubt
I'm just
myself
playing
this
music.
morning. Yeah.
Like I just know playing music. I'm not gonna be a corporate. You know, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna sit at a cubicle. I'm not gonna be in front of a computer all day.
I didn't even think about that. That wasn't even an option for me, because like I'm a college dropout.
Yeah, you're like, who's gonna hire me first of all to get in front of that?
And like, what would I do? But then, so here's the turning point, right? Like when Miles. So this is in 2013. I was 35 years old. Miles had started kindergarten 5 days a week, full days, right?
So and where are you at with music at this point? So like, are we still doing this kind of like playing these bars,
local,
and restaurants?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Keep talking though. I feel unprofessional. I have another camera. I have to just like tap and get it back up. I don't know what's going on.
No, you're good. So 2013, Miles is 5 and started kindergarten full time, and I just wanted to find a way to make money during the day. Like, how do I make money during the day? Right? Like, I can't get these day gigs, and honestly, I got sick of playing. I just stopped learning new music because I was exhausted, and it's hard to learn new music and like change up the set lists. And
writing, like how much were you writing at those?
I wasn't
times?
writing at all. Here's the thing: I wasn't making money off original music. I was making money playing covers in the corner of a bar, being talked over because it was $300, and I don't give a fuck. I need money.
Yeah,
I got to pay a cell phone bill. Diapers are fucking expensive or whatever. You know, like all that shit. I got to pay for shit.
Imagine now. Now it's even worse. Like,
I can't
the
imagine.
money is crazy.
I know.
Anyways,
so I was like, what can I do? And so I started to reach out again, I was 35 years old. And again, let's go back to my network. All my friends were from, middle class, upper middle class, went to great schools, got great degrees, made a shit ton of money.
Yep.
So I started reaching out to them like, I need to make money. What can I do? And all my friends were like, you would be fucking great at sales. You could sell anything, get into sales. And then a couple of friends said,
did that ever hit you before people told you that? Because it seems obvious now. Hindsight.
No. I didn't even think about it.
Never even like, what the fuck?
Why would I think about
Why
that?
Sales?
No.
Why sales?
I'm not going to sell anything other than my fucking passion.
Yeah.
There wasn't a need. And then so my friends were like, get into sales. And then other friends were like, get into tech. Like, if you're going to learn something new and you're going to sell something, sell tech, because it's just going to be a thing. So I'm like, okay, cool. So one of my really good friends, University of Iowa, Mike Redden, used to come watch me play all the time at Iowa City Yacht Club.
Dude.
All that stuff. And
that was a wild
he would throw, after your generation, right? Like his generation, they'd throw the house parties in the quad, and like I would show up and like, hey, Mer's coming to our thing after. Like they'd throw the after party. And so he became a good friend, and like, he's the one that got me into Career Builder. He's like, dude, I can get you a job at Career Builder doing inside sales. You're going to sell like database stuff and job postings. He's like, you got to make 100 calls a day. And it's going to be a grind. You're going to be working with a bunch of young kids out of college, but it's good money. You'll get health insurance, and you can start to build your tech career here. And so I entered in 2013, and it changed my life forever. I was depressed when I first walked in, gained 20 pounds immediately, started drinking.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Dude, I had to
can't
mourn.
even picture you with 20 more pounds on you.
I had to mourn the Mer persona, right? Like the Mer thing was over. Like it was done. And I started
sex symbol is dead.
I started going by Ed. Right, like, cause
what the fuck?
I'm serious. I wanted to remove.
That was gross for a minute, huh?
Yeah,
you were like, this feels weird.
Well, here's what's funny.
Is that why you have therapists now? Like this
for very many reasons,
okay.
I have therapists.
Right.
But imagine being in sales, and I would say Mer on the phone, and be like, Murray.
Yeah,
I'm like, you know what? My name's Ed.
Yep. Old Ed. Everybody trusts Ed.
Ed's a good guy.
Ed's a stand-up guy.
Yeah,
shirt off your back guy.
Yeah, sure. I'll fake 100%. That till I make it. Sure,
100%.
I faked the Mer thing long enough. I could fake the Ed thing.
That's great.
I started going by Ed. I started making 150 phone calls a day, selling applicant tracking systems and databases and resume shit and all that stuff. And then like this, it's funny. I'm solving for these problems today for other companies, but like filling top of the funnel and getting leads and all that shit. I used music. I made a video voicemail. I took a Lumineers song, that song "Hey" or whatever. Yeah. I changed the words, and I got a friend to do the video for it, and I staged this thing where like we performed the song, and I changed the lyrics, and I had people banging on a phone doing this stuff because we were like dialing. That video got me. I used that as a prospecting email. And I took a book of business that I was inherited that was performing at like 30%. I got it over to 110% within 10 months using that video and getting a bunch of hype. And more importantly, that video got in front of like the senior leadership team and some of the C-suite within 24 hours. And by month 11 at Career Builder, I jumped from an inside sales role all the way to a national account manager. And I was working with Harley Davidson, Caterpillar, Aldi, Hyatt Regency. Yeah. Fortune 500,
the big ones.
Fortune 500 companies. And I was calling on Mom and Betty's like recruiter shop, 11 months before that. And that's when I realized like, holy fuck, I can leverage music to stand out and I can be myself. And this is great. And I can make a shit ton of money.
A blend.
And
you can fusion yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And I have now. And like from there, like I'll give you the blurb. But like Career Builder,
this is my least favorite thing on podcasts is nutshells and short stories. That's why I have a long open format.
Yeah.
Tell me a story.
Oh no, there's shit. I'm setting this up because I'm going to fill you in on
you.
some news that I haven't really publicized, and I'm going to drop it on you first because you're my guy.
All right, good. Now your family's going to have to listen to this now.
Right.
Like, well, we could have not used the first 2 hours, but
no, I want them to hear about the Miranda Mouse stuff and like the
they want to hear it all.
Nights in Macomb, Illinois, drinking Quaaludes.
I hope Jimmy and Marlon listen to this.
Yeah, my cousin Joe will be like, "Hey, cuz, you still get free drinks?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the motherfucking musician. I get free drinks. Can you give me another Quaalude?" I'm like, "Of course." Are you gonna be able to walk home? He's like, "It doesn't matter."
That drink was not good for anyone.
It was called the Quaalude for a reason.
Yeah, they were like milky white.
I know it had Kahlua in it. That in itself is awful.
It was hilarious.
So anyway, so like the career thing, and it's crazy because this is a narrative that I'm working on now. I've spent over a decade working enterprise tech. So it's Career Builder, LinkedIn, Salesforce,
Salesforce,
Microsoft.
Massive.
Yeah, man. Like it's crazy to
Obviously
think.
Microsoft, massive.
Yeah, and then there's been a couple startups and stuff in between, a couple hustles, but somehow I've accumulated a ridiculous amount of knowledge around technology stacks, efficiencies, business operations, businesses in general, from working at the largest software companies in the world. And like today, I was awarded at Microsoft and voted Innovation Trailblazer from some thought leadership that I created on LinkedIn around AI. And dude, all I did was take the MERS Music Showcase format and I applied it in the tech world. And instead of putting singer-songwriters on stage, I would work with my technical architects to highlight the features of like Copilot for Microsoft and the new AI stuff, and created like a podcast and some content online, and somehow ended up being a thought leader in the AI space. And all I did was copy paste MERS Music Showcase, dude. That's it. I put other people on stage and talk about what they nerd out about.
Produced it. Yeah.
I just showed up as a host, and I got these nerds to talk about the nerdiest shit, which I love. And nobody, like, I'm a good host.
I use Copilot every day now. I mean, they encourage it.
Yeah.
I mean, our hospital system, they encourage us to use it.
Yeah.
And everybody has like web licenses, and then some of the obviously the higher ups have like the full blown license.
Sure.
But I mean, it's almost like you almost feel guilty when you like compose an email to
It's unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah, and it's only going to get better. I mean, this is just wave one.
Right. Oh, this is nothing. Yeah,
it's nothing.
This is nothing.
Yeah.
This is barely more than Siri or
Yeah. Right.
But it does come in handy sometimes, especially like the way that people work nowadays. Like the hours, the thought, the timing, like the pressure, the corporate America kind of hustle that goes on. It's like sometimes you just need to fucking turn your brain off for a second. Like, can you just write this email? It's a simple ass email. I just need to like get it out
or summarize. I just got back from vacation, and I don't want to read 5 emails in this thread. Summarize this shit for me, and how should I respond?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Like, you got to catch up on 5 days worth of shit while you were traveling that 2 people decided to CC you on.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen to us talking about corporate America woes. So did you get to like take this little like almost Microsoft-ish showcase around? Like, how did they utilize it? Was it just like a one-time like show, or something you record and then you send out to everybody and kind of gets trickled down as education or training or informational? You're sending it out to other companies or?
I used it as prospecting content, and honestly, it's what populates my LinkedIn feed. It was a way for me to learn. It was a way, and here, like, I'm gonna get real nerdy in technical sales. So I learned this at Best of Breed, Salesforce and LinkedIn. Salesforce and Microsoft. Very complex sales, very nerdy technology, right? And like, how do you make that digestible? And then more importantly, like what I realized. What I took from the music world, okay, here's the great parallel. You acknowledge that I have some of the best musicians backing up my shit. So imagine the parallel of like, I've had some really smart technical specialists backing me up because they know their shit, but they need a front man to get in front of the audience so that they can get their feature in their solo, right? A lot of sales reps don't know how to highlight their technical people, and they turn them into like demo jockeys and like, I just need you to fucking do this. For me, it's always a collaboration. Here's what the customer wants. Here's what we're trying to solve for. How would you go in? Here's my perspective on it. How would you go in on it? And becomes a collaboration. And one of the best compliments I've gotten from those technical counterparts, like, you're the only guy that fucking cares to give me like to actually have a script for me and allow me to write the script. And to me, that blows my mind, because as complex as these sales cycles are, and as people are spending millions of dollars on these technologies, and like these technical people are just kind of like, whatever. I went the opposite way, and I put them on a pedestal. And what was great is that they always showed up for me. They always took a call with me. They were always excited to get in front of a customer with me because they knew they were going to be seen and heard for what they were excited about. And just like I get John Owens to throw down a slapping bass solo in his gospel shit, like I can get one of my homies, Kyle Lidberg at Microsoft, to really highlight marketing automation and customer journeys and how AI can use the data to really target and pinpoint your your demographic, right? And he's really good at that. And like, I just hype him up. I'm like, my thing is like, hey, I'm just the idiot, the circus clown. These guys are really, really smart. They're the ones that are going to solve
that's
your
your
problems.
persona.
That
That's
is.
your kind of like.
Well, and that's
almost self-deprecating.
It is
like,
a little bit, and it's
like,
fun and
I'm
it makes it
just
easy.
Here to
Yeah, because a lot of sales
bring
guys are
these
fucking
guys to
cocky
you.
or whatever. I'm like, I don't need to be cocky. You know why? Because I'm playing fucking House of Blues next week, and I don't give a shit.
yeah.
Seriously, I got nothing.
You're never gonna do that.
I'm here to make money, right?
Yeah.
But what's great though, at the same time, again, like the role that music has played in my professional career, I would post up the Stump the So the series I created is called Stump the Experts on LinkedIn. I would post that content, and then I would post the same guitar videos that you see me with, like my Firebird and that 335 where I'm just playing and whatever. I would post that. My guitar shit gets more engagement
Right.
on LinkedIn
Makes
than anything
sense.
else. And then when I get on calls, people be like, "Wait a minute, were you just playing?
was you?"
Were you just playing that Led Zeppelin song?" I'm like, yeah. They're like, I love, And in sales and just in business, I think one of the things that I've realized recently is like everyone's burnt out by work, and the more human we present ourselves, the easier it is to work remotely because we're all working remotely, right? So like and that's the thing. It's like hard for me to sell. It's hard for sellers to sell now because it's a virtual sale, right? It's hard to get in front of the customer budgets. Everyone's compressing on their travel and expenses and OpEx and all that shit. Like I get as nerdy as you want on that. But like I realized that my personality and my energy as an entertainer and as like a collaborator, right? Like you know that about me. That's what lent itself well to success in corporate America at the biggest software companies in the world, right? Because it's a hard sale. I'm not a technical person. I have like a 200 level understanding of a lot of tech,
Right.
but I'm not a SME like you, right?
I was just gonna ask you, like, I don't know. I guess did you think you had a 200 level IQ in music when you were identifying these players that you were trying to bring up? Like, how did you get to a place where you felt confident when you're looking for the Kyle Lindberghs or whatever?
Yeah.
Like how are you assessing that talent?
From a music perspective or
No,
work?
just from work, like your current situation now. It's like, right, because you knew how to identify musicians at the time, right?
Yeah.
Now you got to apply that into the space that you're in. Like, when did you hit that level of like, all right, I'm confident in my assessment. I want this guy to be part of what I'm doing. Like, when did you start getting confidence in that, or how did you develop it?
It started at Salesforce because I'm a very technical sale. Career Builder, I learned a lot about like sales operations and like conversion rates and volume and like how to run a CRM and all that stuff, like the nuts and bolts. LinkedIn was kind of a one-trick pony, right? Like you're selling one or two things, and I was selling to the IT recruitment space. You're selling ads and you're selling LinkedIn access, right? Like it's not that complex. But man, I got slapped in the face at Salesforce, which was the most technical sale that I'd done at the time, and I rubbed a couple technical specialists the wrong way because I didn't approach the deal or the demo in a good way, and I had to learn really quick.
So like a mistake led to learning.
Totally.
Situation.
I didn't know how to do it. I'm good at faking it till I make it, but I realized like, no, like there's a path. There's a somewhat of a structure to this, and so for me, then I took a step back, and this is what's great. Like, you'll understand this. I had to learn the template, which is like the cover song, right? I just learned the song verbatim. And then once I got comfortable doing the song, and then I could embellish it and do it my way, then I earned the trust of my colleagues within that hyper matrix selling environment to be able to like, cool, Edmer's playing the cards right, and then cool, Edmer's kind of embellishing here and doing his thing and adding his personality. Then my technical resources and my counterparts would lean in more because they're like, okay, cool, we trust you. So that was a really big slap in the face, but I learned so much in a short amount of time, and having a name like Salesforce
huge
gave me a little more leeway to make mistakes, right?
Well, and one of the things that comes with all that time and experience before you were in the tech space too, that I think that you don't always see in that world is that just ability to effortlessly read the room,
yes,
and just understand what's happening around you,
yes,
who this person is in front of you,
yes,
being able to assess a personality, like, I know how to feed you exactly what you want.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I've worked with a lot of sellers that just get stuck in their track, and they're just going to keep going through their talk track without flexing or without iterating.
Templates are fine. That's great.
Sure, it's a great place to start.
It's good scripting things that you have, but you need to be able to act, think on your feet. look at the person
Yeah.
in front of you
Yeah.
and understand, all right, their need might be similar,
Yeah.
but I know just the thing that's gonna, that little break off from the script that's
Yeah.
just like you, and you feel it when you hit it too.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah, I
it's
can
like,
read a
you're
crowd.
like,
I can
yep.
read a crowd with the best of them. No question.
I mean, that's the amount of experience you have in that has got to be unreal. Just being a personable person, being an outgoing person, being on a stage, dealing with bartenders and backs and store club owners and everything.
Sound engineers, monitor world guys, lighting
Everything.
directors. Yeah.
Yeah, the dude, the sound engineer.
The nerdy, right? That's the technical counterpart. Here's the thing.
That's a good.
You make friends with the sound engineer.
Correlation.
You're good. You're
That's
good to
a
go.
great correlation. Right
Some people
there.
are assholes
They're
to the
just
sound
different
guy.
guys. They're
Yeah.
just different people, and not all of them are exactly the same. Like Marlon's, Marlon's a sound engineer.
Yeah.
Like, but I'm sure he's probably rare in his field.
Yeah. Well, that's why he doesn't do it full time.
That's right. That's probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's an incredible, like, I don't know, almost like street smart, common sense, like, experience that you would never,
Yeah.
never be like, oh, you can apply that directly to a text space or, whatever.
I had
you're
no
doing.
idea, but it's very relatable. 100%.
No shit.
Yeah.
So what, I mean, is that kind of like where you were going with this? Like, I want to say something, or you got more things to say that you're doing, the changes that you got coming on?
Yeah, man. I'm really, when you reached out about this, when did you reach out about this? A while ago.
I don't know, probably back, maybe like in October, something like that. Yeah.
Even before that.
You were like one of the first people on my list. Like I have
that.
an Excel file with like probably 50 names on it, and you were like probably top 3 people. I was like, okay,
Aw.
who's got like a good path that I know, like that's just a completely different person.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just don't meet a lot of people that are that interesting or successful that don't have some kind of story,
Keep feeding my
That's
ego.
literally
brother. I
why
love
the
you.
show is called Average Joe's. It's like, because I take a look at myself and I think average, I think like I kind of grew up average. I didn't have like any seminal moments in my life, these big like events. Everybody I meet, it's like, sure, you don't wish people to have struggles, but without them, people can kind of get a little boring. And
Yeah, that's how you grow, right?
I'm a big social person. I love to hear other people's stories. This is the thing that, like, when you're passionate about music, like I'm passionate about like people and just talking to people.
I love that.
And that's like, these conversations are everything to me. That's why, there's no paid advertising. There's nothing on this show. Sure, I'll take it down the road if somebody wants to give it to me. But
Sure.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what I love. And I knew you'd be a fun conversation anyway. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I think what's exciting about this, so one, I dragged my heels on saying yes to you because I was working through some shit straight up. I just dug myself out of like an emotional hole. I'll get into it in a moment. I'm good. Everything's fine. And then 2, the timing of it and who you are as a person, because we've known each other for 20 years. You know my family. You're a father. You've seen my journey as a father. The reason why this timing is amazing is because I've come to realize in the last 6 months that I've been operating under scarcity mode for the last 18 years. And let me explain. I didn't plan on being a dad. I didn't know how to be a dad. I didn't plan to be a technologist or a corporate guy or an AI guy. I just needed to make money. And I've spent 11 years working at the largest software companies in the world with one goal in mind, to just make sure Miles and Miranda are taken care of. And now I'm at a point where Miranda got accepted into every Big Ten and SEC school she applied to. She's gonna be a nurse, just like her grandma and her aunt, my sister and my mom, like a good Filipino. And she has an amazing GPA, and the scholarship money's coming in. Like, she literally got a yes from every college that she applied to.
what a flex.
It's unbelievable. And then my son,
I want to see those SAT, ACTs. What are they taking these days? ACTs, SATs?
both of them,
What,
I
they
don't
gotta
know.
take them
Yeah.
both still?
Yeah. And then my son, he just got reelected student council president. He didn't think he was going to make varsity soccer, but he busted his ass and he did. And he's probably going to end up with a higher GPA than his sister. And he's talking about going into child psychology or child psychiatry. And he's looking at Boston College right now.
Holy shit.
He'll get in no problem.
Golden Eagle.
Yeah.
All right.
And then he mentioned like maybe Stanford for like, graduate med school and all that stuff.
Let him know that the great Tom Waddle went to Boston.
There we go. Tom Waddle.
one of our 90s Bears.
Oh,
heroes right there.
Don't talk about the Bears.
It's not a topic.
That's
right
another.
now.
That's another podcast. That's another 3 hours.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what this weekend with the new coach looks
Yeah.
like. But anyways.
Yeah. So, like, Who fucking knew that my kids would be this?
You knew.
No, I didn't. I was scared. Here's the thing, dude. I'm telling you this story. My body somatically has been operating in scarcity mode because I was always, the goal was be able to pay child support. I'll be honest, man. Like, I was a deadbeat for a hot minute. I couldn't pay child support.
Like, just raw answer.
It's a real thing.
Right.
So that's embarrassing and awful. And then the next goal, which I accomplished this year, I had a goal to independently be able to buy and gift Miranda a car and Miles a car on their 16th birthday. Miles turned 16 in March, went to the DMV, gave him his car. Miranda, same thing. A couple years ago, she turned 16, handed her a car. Like, I never thought that I would be in a position where I could gift both of my kids a car for their 16th birthday. I fucking nailed it by myself, right? Like, this is just me. I fucking nailed it. And now the next goal is to get these kids to college and see if we can get them out of college debt free and make sure that they're good people. And like, they're great people pursuing nursing and child psychiatry. Like, both of them are in all the national honor societies. Like, they're lovely. They're badass athletes. They're just really good humans. And I think what's interesting is if you think of the common denominator factor, 2 kids, 2 different moms, my background's crazy. But at the end of the day, genetically, I'm the common denominator. And they look like me.
And they look like you.
And they look like my sister. My daughter looks just like my
I need to see
fucking
pictures
mother.
of moms. I got to see the pictures of
they're hot, but they're
and
white.
Cassie.
They're hot and they're white.
They're hot white ladies.
Yeah,
Okay.
wonderful. Then my kids look like me.
They look so much like
Miranda looks just like my mom. It's weird. Miles is a little bit more of a hybrid of me and Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd never guess that.
He's got like young model going on.
Yeah, he's a stud.
He's got the swag. I can see it. I think it sounds like Miranda might have the swag too.
Yeah, she's a social swag, man. She's everyone's favorite. And she's a sweetheart.
So what did I'm trying to think of when I was that age. Like when I was their like general age. Like, I feel like I don't remember like being that curious about where my parents came from or what they wanted, what they did at their time.
No, yeah.
Do your kids like, Dad, what were you doing at 16, 17, 18? Like, did they ask or they like?
They don't, because I'm obnoxious
like
and I put it in front of them.
Yeah.
I mean, the relationship I have with both of those kids is quite unique because one, all 3 of us never really lived in the same household. The 2 of them as siblings never really grew up every day together, so they don't have the same sibling fights and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so as you've paid attention to social media, the one thing that I've made sure I could do, and the reason why making money was so important, is I wanted to create memorable experiences that the 3 of us would remember forever. And so going to concerts and going on vacations and spending stupid money on shit for experiences, to me, is totally worth it. My lifestyle, my burn rate is real low. Like, I live very minimally, and
except for your jackets.
Even
this splurge.
I'm glad it looks expensive to you. I fooled you.
Hell yeah.
But my relationship with them is quite unique and different. But like, I don't, I used to see it as like a deficit or like, it's a compromise.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've seen who my kids are as adults and what they're pursuing and the way that they interact in the world and just who they are, it's like everything's fucking great. Like, we're good. And like, the work that I've done around mental health has helped with communication with these 2 teenagers, right? And because we're not up each other's ass every day, we don't have the same fights and the same friction that most.
Totally different dynamic.
Yeah.
Right?
So like, we're all just each other's friends and homies and biggest cheerleaders, right? Like, it's awesome. So let's bring it back. So I'm at this phase where, okay, I left Microsoft in August.
Okay.
And so that's relatively new news to most people. And it was hard to do, but I got burnt out.
Like 3 months? 3 months?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I got
That's
burnt.
fresh.
I got burnt out. There were opportunities I wanted to pursue that weren't available to me. And I tried to navigate it in politics, bureaucracies in a giant software company. I just didn't feel like I had the opportunities I wanted. So it was a tough decision, but I left. And what I told my kids most recently is like, I told them the scarcity thing. And I'm like, this is zero obligation to you. But I'm at this really weird phase where like, I never thought about my kids going to college. I was just worried about paying for stuff and like paying for softball and paying for soccer tournaments and getting to the weekends for the tournaments and getting to Indiana and flying here and there to support them. I didn't really think about what it's going to be like when they quote unquote left the household and started their own adult lives. And then it slapped me in the face when my daughter got accepted to all these colleges and we're going on these college visits. I'm just like, what the fuck? This is real. Holy shit. And now it's like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm good on money. Like, I'll always, I can get a job anywhere. But is that what I want to do? Like, I've proven to myself that I can make money and sustain these kids and make sure they're set up to win. I feel like I've accomplished that goal already. What's the next fucking goal? So here's what's exciting. I co-founded a music AI startup based out of LA with an old friend of mine. And we're going to have our MVP and like the mobile app completed by the summer. And I'm really fucking excited about it because as I think about what's next for me in my own personal journey, now that I get to think about it and not feel bad about it because my kids are good. I never wanted to be in corporate. I never wanted to climb the ladder. I never even went to leadership because I didn't want to be a first line manager. I didn't want to be responsible for anybody else. Leave me as an independent contributor. Give me
very similar mindset in that regard to you. Like I did that and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like 10 people wondering, when the PTO is and who's covering this. And,
no,
they said that, and it's. I feel bad every time I fill out one of these like yearly or monthly, 90-day whatever with my leaders, and I'm like, oh, what's your next 5 years? And I'm like, well, I'd like to develop the role that I'm in and better my, under. You don't want to be a director or a leader? I'm like, nope.
Good for you.
Good for you. It's just not. What's in the other room over there is what's important right now.
I love that about you, and I'm not surprised by that.
We'll stay away from the paychecks, and we live a life that we all love right now. So
good.
We'll hang there.
That's the most important.
Anyways, I'm just cutting across your shit with my own shit.
No. I love that, and that's why I love talking about this shit because I know how important family is to you, and I know what a great huge. I know what great parents you and Shannon are, and it's awesome to watch.
She's really good. Yes, she's very good.
I mean, she's carrying the weight. You're just a fucking freeloader. Let's just call it up.
The kids like me for some reason. That's the weird thing. I don't know. They do like
you
me.
are a fun guy.
Must be fun, I guess.
Yeah, you are a fun guy.
I don't know.
So I'm at this place where I told my kids like, this is just an assessment of where I'm at, but like I didn't really think about my life of you guys going to college. I just want to support you, and I didn't think what I was going to do. It's crazy to think about that. Like even in the last few months, like
you're almost like an empty nester,
kind of
that weird. It's like a different version of it, right?
Yeah. And it's like, well, I'm not going to climb the corporate ladder, and like. I've worked at the biggest software companies. Like I thought about going to work for Google and doing the Gemini stuff or AWS. Well, it's like, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's just a different color, different logo.
Packaged differently.
And it's nothing wrong with that, but I can do more. And so here's what I'm excited about. The startup, it's called Artist AI, and the website and all the stuff will be launched in January. Our founder, Greg Spiro, he's originally from Highland Park. He's a jazz pianist, and we met on a gig backing up. Remember this girl, Sarah Vonderhaar? She was on America's Next Top Model. She's from the North Suburbs. I ended up playing guitar with her. And Greg and I were hired to play with her at Summerfest. And Greg, I love musicians. And like he and I built a bond like 15 years ago. Like he moved to LA and he wanted to make it. And he did. He ended up becoming the keyboardist and music director for an up and coming artist at the time known as Halsey.
Oh, Jesus.
So he rode the come up with Halsey playing like places like Shubas and like Hotel Cafe all the way up to Madison Square Garden and Saturday Night Live. You know what I mean?
That's so crazy.
So what he was able to do, he's a hustler and entrepreneur too in the same equal respect as I try to be. He ended up, so let's fast forward to today. He reached out to me 2 years ago when I had just started ish at Microsoft and was putting that content out with Stump the Expert, talking about the AI stuff.
Okay.
He's like, hey, dude, I want to run an early idea past you from two lenses. One, you as a musician, and then two, you as a technologist and AI guy. I'm like, cool.
Couldn't have been the more perfect person to throw that at.
Here's what's crazy. Like the universe is just manifesting some shit for me. So he goes, over the pandemic, I released one song a week, and I was using things like ChatGPT to refine the way that I would pitch my songs to organic playlists to get as much visibility as possible for free.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's next level thinking.
Yep.
Just the preface of that,
like
the whole.
Yep. So Spotify pitched. Yep. So for musicians, Spotify, for those that don't know the industry, Spotify breaks the most artists other than TikTok. TikTok's number one. Mm-hmm. Spotify is second. And Spotify, there's 3 types of playlists, like the Discover playlist, all that stuff, whatever,
Right.
weekly. But the organic ones and the curated ones by humans are where you get the most organic visibility for free, right? But you have to pitch to them. So he used ChatGPT, and he even used some like visual AI models to analyze his songs and create album artwork to see if that would play into the algorithm. But he was just trying a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, he put together an assembly line, a Frankenstein model of these public AI models, where he would just continue to refine his pitch to Spotify. He released, so the other thing, any
Just
algorithm,
like almost like trial and error, just kind
100%. But more importantly, compounding it. So any algorithm rewards consistency. So he released 1 song a week for almost 2 years. He literally grew his monthly listeners from 1,000 monthly listeners to now 300,000 monthly listeners.
Oh, wow.
And whenever he releases a song, he ends up on like the top 10, top 15, like jazz guys, blah, blah, blah.
That's crazy.
And also because something that I'm excited to lean into, he's got an unbelievable network. And because he's a jazz pianist, he collaborates with a bunch of artists and releases a bunch of songs with collaborators. Right? Think about producers and DJs today. They're like, it's all giant bunch of mixtapes and collabs. Right, even the country guys we were just talking about, they're all jumping on each other's shit.
Post Malone's album,
like, Post Malone's a genius.
That album is,
the
awesome.
fact that he's in country.
Yeah, when I listen to that album, I don't think like, oh, this is blowing my mind from like a creativity level, but I mean, he hit exactly what people want.
Yeah,
like every song on
right.
there, I can listen.
He's
to.
nailing it.
I'm not like
Agreed.
Some of them are even bangers.
Agreed.
Like, but
yeah,
nothing's gonna blow you away technically or writing wise. You're not gonna be like, oh my god, like
no, it
that's
doesn't
a lyric,
have to.
But the tempos, the beat, his voice, like everything on it, it works. I don't know why. It just works.
Yeah. So anyway, so his model, we're trying to replicate that model for other artists. So right now we're working on a beta. We're trying to get 100, 200 users in the first quarter 2025. And what's great is that this is just me being a sales guy. There's no one better to bridge the gap between the integrity of creatives and leverage the best AI has to offer to elevate that integrity and that honesty of creatives, because everyone's scared of AI.
Right.
And my job at Microsoft was to make financial institutions and healthcare companies feel safe about taking their first step into Microsoft and Copilot. And I did this successfully. They gave me an award for it. There's no one better to bridge the gap between creatives that I care about, that I've been honing in Chicago and supporting and putting on a pedestal in that community, and leverage the best of AI to put the power in our hands and not be scared of it. And I'm fucking excited.
Oh my God. I'm imagining the purists that you'll run into right off the bat.
Sure, bring them.
Like, oh my God. Like, why would you, like, that's so, maybe the boring people on stage that we talked about earlier, that might be some of those types.
And I love entertaining those things, because I'm like, here's the thing. The AI doesn't touch your actual music. It touches it in analyzing it, but then
just the words or the letters AI.
Sure. Totally. But it's an exciting venture. And Greg's pockets are his pockets. It's not that his pockets are, his network is deep.
Right.
And he's got a bunch of really high profile
possibility.
I mean, here's the thing. I got to meet one of my heroes last year. I got to fly to Austin last year to go meet Gary Vaynerchuk. Did you know Gary V?
No, but I thought you were going to say Gary Clark Jr. for a second.
Oh yeah, we can get to him. Oh yeah,
real jealous.
Yeah, I'll find a way to him for sure. So Gary Vaynerchuk, he was an early investor in like Uber and Twitter. And
okay, yeah.
He's a huge deal. And he's an idol to me. I got to sit down with him to talk about what we're up to, and it's just crazy that my journey would get me in a place where I could talk about a music AI startup with fucking Gary Vaynerchuk. Get the fuck out of here.
That's kind of mind blowing.
And then earlier this year I was hanging out with Katy Perry, and
does that make sense to you at all? Like,
yes. You know why it makes sense? Because
you manifest things.
My life is not normal, and it's like I just got to get over the what the fuck moments.
If you had to drop it off, I figure I better put it up on the screen so people know.
Yeah, like what the fuck, dude?
Who's the small Filipino woman hanging out with?
Yeah. It's really exciting though, because the ultimate goal of corporate America was to pay for Miles Miranda's success,
and now
it's
you're
like
leaving the scarcity mentality here.
Well, here's the thing, because my resume is pretty much LinkedIn, Salesforce, and Microsoft. I can get a job anywhere.
Yeah. It's but I mean, I'm guessing. I shouldn't guess. I shouldn't say I'm guessing. So we bandied about the topic of therapy. You know, like so. How long have you been going to like an actual therapist?
Oh, on and off for like a decade.
Yeah. So I mean, like, were there times where you kind of needed that to talk about like basically just like you said, you got rid of the Mer persona. Like that had to be hard.
I had to. It was so hard. It was so depressing.
Disassociate myself from that, part of me or something for a short period of time. But a person like you that's so deeply rooted in music and your whole like being, like there's no way you could ever fully move on from that.
Well, clearly I can't give it up. I'm still wearing douchey jackets and chains.
It's nothing about that. It's just like your heart, your spirit, your soul.
It's everything.
I mean, don't one of your forearms say like music is my medicine, right? I mean, that's a great song that you wrote.
Thank you for that.
Like, right? You got it on your forearm. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
It's right here. No, you're right.
All right.
Therapy's been monumental, and if it wasn't for therapy, I wouldn't have the relationship I have with my kids and their mothers. There's 3 pieces around it that I'm constantly doing work on. One is understanding. First it was to mourn the Mer persona because I feel like I had to really just turn it off so I could get into corporate and do that thing. And then the second piece was around how to be a parent. Like there were some great, and here's what's cool about being a parent. You know this. You start to think about the way that you were parented, or Shannon thinks about the way she was parented, and it's like there's so many great things that came from my family, but also because we're Filipino, and because hardcore Roman Catholic, and because they were fresh off the boat, and because of just the culture, there's also an equal amount of shit that I do not want to pass down to my kids.
It's just funny when I'm only laughing because I'm feeling everything you're saying.
Yeah. So like, for me, there's guilt around going against what my mom and dad taught me, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have the relationship with Miles and Miranda.
Right.
And so there's guilt around that. And it's like, how can I balance my intuition? And then the other piece around it is like, I have to navigate communication and empathy with 2 different moms that have 2 different perspectives on how to raise kids.
I think we could do a whole podcast just about that.
100%.
We should have both of them on one day. The 4
they
of
would
us.
love
the
sure.
4 of us.
I'm
mic
sure they
them
would.
up. Let's go.
I'll
do it.
I'm going to drink alcohol for that one. I'm not drinking
you'll
green
drink
tea.
for me?
That's bourbon on that one.
Right. We'll do bourbon that night.
Yeah, but those are the themes. The main themes that I've worked on is one, how do I get over my own fucking ego? Because I have a huge fucking ego. And how do I use that energy for good? Which I figured out. Like Mer's Music Showcase is a good thing that came out of that.
It's a good outlet.
Stump the Experts is the next iteration of that. And then more importantly, like how do I be a very good co-parent? Right? It's easy to want to be a great parent, right? But I think being a good co-parent in my circumstances is really challenging, and my parents don't know how to guide that. Like, I don't know. There's not books on like how to be a co-parent to 2 kids with 2 different moms 18 months apart, right? Like,
you could write it. You could be the guy. You can write that book.
Yeah, maybe I should. But like, I had to be honest with myself, and I knew I needed help in trying to figure that out. And again, like, I feel really grateful. At the end of the day, I hope that people judge me by my kids, because I'm not even biased. My kids are fucking badass.
Yeah, it's just like in a very weird vein way. It's almost like, look at these trophies. Like these are a sign of what I can do. Like,
you want the next generation to be better than you. And here's the thing: like my mom and dad, my family, like my cousin's parents, right? Emma, Wilkie, they came to the United States to live the American dream. And part of that dream was to get a good college education, which I bailed on and everybody freaked. But also, there's no way in fucking hell I would have a music career and a brand if I was in the Philippines. It just wouldn't be a thing. And maybe in the Philippines, but it wouldn't be the same. So there's that aspect of it. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, yes, I brag about my kids, and of course, like it's a nice flex, but I'm really confident that who Miranda is and who Miles is today, I'm just really proud that they're really good humans, and they're intelligent, but most importantly, they're really empathetic, and they're great conversationalists, and they're sweethearts. And like, that's it. Measure me by that.
Yeah, I mean, what great validation for you, for the moms, for like
Fuck yeah.
you know, for the way you guys approached the dynamic, dynamic that's rare, and like you said, there's no book for. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys,
I didn't find it. I tried.
Like, do you guys ever just call each other and you're like, "How good are we? Like, we fucking did this."
We do it all the time. So
it could have been a hot mess.
You
it
know,
could have been
like,
an absolute disaster.
we go to award banquets for these kids. They're like, not the PTA meetings. That was early on. Actually, no, fucking recently. Like, Miles got a thing from one of his teachers. It's like, hey, just letting you know, my wife and I we're not planning to have kids, but if we did, we'd want them to be like Miles.
No shit.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's a fucking compliment.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best compliment. Man.
Yeah, and like Miranda, like she.
What more award could you win than that? Like, what bigger?
Yeah, and like Miranda, she works as a hostess and waitress a little bit here and there at this place, and every time I go in there, like, oh, you're Miranda's dad? And I'm like, no, I'm her older brother. And then like Miles will do the eye roll and Miranda will be like, it's my fucking dad. And they're like, she is the best. She's the most helpful. She's always blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah. And like other parents on her softball team, like, oh, we love having Miranda over. Like,
imagine getting raised right, man.
It's just, it's so validating that like whatever I was worried about, it's all good. I mean, I worried for the right reasons.
Yeah. Oh,
because
I
care.
For sure.
But like
when you're in it, how you can't see it.
No,
you can't see that.
No,
and there's no way you can hope, you can have confidence that it will get there. But now that you actually like get to see it, it's kind of an epic, rewarding thing to see.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I got a long way to go. Mine are still up in the air. We'll see.
Dude, it goes by fucking quick. Don't be in a rush.
I know,
man. Hug them while you can.
No, you're right. You're 100% right.
Yeah,
it's enjoy it. Just enjoying it right now.
But you know what is exciting is Miranda. We were just at university. We were at Kansas in Lawrence, and I remember I went in a night early. Her and her mom were flying in the morning of the tour, and I flew in the night before. And I just went to go scope out the campus, and there's this venue called the Bottleneck, and I played the Bottleneck in 2005, opening for a band called Pomeroy. And I walked in there. I went in there, checked out the show on a Sunday night. There was a country band, and like Miranda loves country, so I'm like, it's a good spot.
Scope it out.
She's cool, and I'm like, hey, you know what's even gonna be cooler? I can't wait to fucking book a gig here. And get your She's like, oh, hell no. I'm like, are you kidding me? Mer's Music Showcase is definitely coming to your fucking college, and your friends are going to love it.
You're headlining, though.
You got a headline. I can't fucking wait.
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, right?
Yes. I learned that story. Yep.
That's going to be you up there. That's incredible.
I get to do the college thing. You should come with me. Let's do it up.
100%.
I'll buy a red van again.
I'm totally in.
And we'll throw everybody in.
We can get everybody to go. I mean, how great would that be?
Yeah.
I got to come out to, like, what do you got going on like recent here? You got the Chop Shop thing I kept seeing. Is that over?
Yeah, no, it's coming up. So actually, thanks for bringing that back. So
because we're at the 2nd of December right now. This will come out probably by the 9th.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Do you have anything that's coming up that you want anybody to know about?
Yeah. I mean, it ties into the mental health stuff and just the transition. Dude, part of the burnout this year for me at corporate was I realized this is the least amount of shows I've played ever.
That's got to be weird.
It's weird. I played
weird.
I threw 3 showcases in 2024. It was House of Blues, Cubby Bear, and Navy Pier. And I realized that's the least amount of music I've played in my life. And so that's like, can't do that.
That blew my mind right there.
So literally, I'll be honest, I booked this thing at Chop Shop with the help of some really good friends in Chicago, musician friends of mine that I leaned on because I was a little depressed and like dealing with some shit. And I'm like, I need to just book a show and I need to get music back. And so that's what this event is. And it's a really exciting, thanks, man. It's a really exciting way to wrap up this crazy year and just go into 2025 being like, I get to focus on music more, and I get to hybrid all my tech shit into that. And more than anything, like everybody within my music network, if they choose to lean in, they're going to benefit from what the fuck we're doing with this AI stuff. You know what I mean? And so it's another thing that I can give back to the community. And it's another thing that will help all of us in the long run. And so December 18th, Wednesday, Chop Shop in Wicker Park, Bucktown. Awesome venue. I've got a bunch of badass rock stars that have been part of the showcase before. And what's cool about it is, you know, you've been a part of the showcase, and it's a singer-songwriter round robin Nashville style. Nothing new. Like that originated at the Bluebird, right, where Taylor Swift got found
But
it.
you
On
almost never see it. I mean, if it
Nobody-
doesn't, maybe in the city, but like you just like nobody else is doing it.
people do it.
It's a lot of people come back from that, like your average person that goes to visit Nashville,
Sure.
and they like music. They're
Sure.
not musicians. They're not like hardcore. Maybe they like Taylor Swift and all, whatever. Zach Bryan. They come back and they're like, "Oh my! I went to this place and they just had 4 musicians and chairs, and
Yeah.
then an hour or 2 went by and there was 4 other musicians,
Yeah.
and they just rotated." Like,
Yep.
Shannon and I went through it the first time we went in like 2016 or whatever, and I was just like, "Why doesn't everybody do this?"
Yep,
Like,
it's amazing. It's
but I guess you have to have a certain mental approach to music, like where you're just like in love with watching. Like I love to sit down there and see somebody, especially with something they wrote.
sure.
It doesn't matter. Like maybe it's your voice, maybe it's your guitar playing, maybe it's both, maybe it's your presence. Like whatever it is, something sticks out. That's
Yeah.
just like holy shit, like
Yeah.
incredible. But I saw a couple of people that night where I was like, how are you not the
Right.
biggest star in the world?
And maybe they will be one day.
Yeah, I hope so.
But that format does work, as it goes back to the whole thing I said about the family parties and it being a talent show. And it's like most shows these days are like, you got the opener, they're 30 minutes. You got the direct support, they're 45 minutes. You got the headliner plays an hour and a half. And it's like most people don't stay through all the things. And like the reason why the Songwriter Showcase works is like you have to watch it. You came for one friend, you're gonna fall in love with somebody else. Because I curate badass motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And they all come from different walks of life, and it's like you might not normally find that. And like here's one cool thing that even this morning I was meeting with the guy that wrote the foundational machine learning algorithm for Google Translate, Yahoo Translate, and Microsoft Bing Translator.
No big deal.
He's a fucking PhD. This guy's a fucking brain.
big
I was
deal.
hanging out with him in the city this morning, working on some AI stuff. And we talk about algorithms, and like the way I bring it back to music is like Spotify, in my opinion, has the best algorithm compared to like Apple iTunes and like Tidal when it comes to.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as a user of both.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the problem is algorithms will just continue to refine what you like. And what you and I know about music is like going early to go see the opener, somebody you wouldn't take a chance on,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
an analog algorithm, or like, I just told you about Dirty Loops. You need to go check out Dirty Loops.
Yeah.
Like, how do
I
you
didn't know I was going to discover.
right? How do you find
I
new
found
shit?
The Frames opened up for Damian Rice in like
Yeah.
2003. I didn't know who Glenn Hansard was. And
Oh,
look
yeah, now.
look where he goes.
Yeah.
He goes from that. That was all Marlon right
Yeah.
there.
I believe it, right? So how do we hybrid the analog with the algorithm and get the best of both worlds, right? So the reason why the showcase works is because, one, I curate a bunch of friends and it's comfortable and shit, but also it's a great way to find new music, and it's presented in a way that is like communal. And so this one's special because we're all homies and friends, so we're all learning each other's songs. So like we're all playing on each other's shit. And then my friend's band Model Stranger. So Stephen Francis is one of the guys performing, but he's got an awesome trio called Model Stranger. His rhythm section is going to join us, and it's going to turn into a jam session at the fucking end of the show.
Oh, you gotta love that.
Yeah, and that's the best part, actually, because again, you talk about, we've been talking the whole time about the energy on stage. There's nothing more fun than watching a bunch of badass musicians have an organic, like sincere, like unrehearsed jam session. You're like, fuck, that was the best.
Just following, just like what are you playing over there? Okay, I got something for that. Like,
and even if it is planned, like you go see
incredible.
your favorite band, and then the opener comes out to go sing with the headliner in the encore.
big pop.
Fuck yeah, that's it.
Big pop.
So that's what this whole night's going to be.
What's funny because now that you're reminding me of all the things I said about like the energy and like the the stage and all that stuff. And at the same time, like one of my favorite things is about those 4-person like singer-songwriter roundtable is the quietness and the sit down and listen, and it's not a conversation happening all around it. It's just like you're locked into that person's basically like spilling their soul to you through a guitar and their voice, and you just that's. So I guess it goes against what I was saying about the energy, but I guess it's like a different form of energy when you're spitting your soul like that to somebody, to a group of people in a coffee shop.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been out to like shows in a while. This might be something I need to mark on a calendar here.
I mean, you're at the stage with your kids and your family that it's hard to get out and do stuff, and you're old.
I know. I don't like to. I can't keep taking on these excuses. I'm going to throw this right here at you, so you can just feel free to just smack it right back at me.
Okay.
I did this to Alex too, and then.
Okay.
So, do you want to play a song? Do you want to play a song? You don't have to. Alex said no at first, and then I started to move on. He was like, you know what? Give me it. Fine. And I was like,
Do
hey.
I want to
I'm
play
like,
a song?
It's not like the most acoustically sound room and microphone setup for it,
Sure.
but Alex had written a song recently that he's been playing, so he ended up playing it for me at the end. So I was like, well, I figured I'd give you an opportunity if you want to. If not, we can just keep rolling.
You just set me up to look like a bitch because
No, I would never do that.
Hoffer did it. Now I have to do
I
it.
probably could have left that part out, couldn't I?
No, I love that. You're a good sales guy. Passive aggressive sales. Well, I have to say yes and play a song now.
Passive aggressive sales. You want to play it now, or you want to talk a little bit, and then
Whatever
maybe we'll slide it in a little bit.
Whatever you want, dude. I appreciate dude. Joe, let's make this about you for a minute. Number one, I love that this is a thing that you did because you just love talking to people, and I know it started with the beer thing. I gotta mention a connection to the music industry. Mike Palin is a fucking homie.
He's gonna be on soon.
Are you serious,
He's coming on soon.
dude? Him and his wife. I met them in the music
the
world.
A&R world. That's so
they
funny.
were both working at Verve Life
About a half
with
an hour
Sarah
ago.
Vonderhaar.
Yes.
Fucking crazy, dude.
About a half hour ago, I was about to tell you. I was like, "Hey, I have a friend in the beer industry that was like an
He was my
A&R
friend first.
guy." See, I didn't realize.
Fuck you.
That.
He's my friend
I
first.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Wait, have you guys talked about the fact that you know
Dude, and here's
that
what's,
you know me?
here's what's I don't think
never said
I don't
anything
think
about
we've
you.
talked about that. It also happened too.
So how did you just make that connection? Just now, like.
Well, because I stalked your shit, and I'm like,
Oh.
wait, like
You just saw him as like a friend online?
Microphone Brewing, like I knew all about that,
Mhm.
and then
There's probably some microphone glasses in that mess over there.
I believe it,
Yeah.
and then another random connection. So
Mike's been on my podcast a few times, so
so the bass player in Model Stranger, his name's Kevin. Kevin's, I think they got married, wife recently or partner. Steph, she works for Mike Palin. And so when we started hanging out, she's like, "Wait, you know Mike?" I'm like, "Fucking Mike and I go way back." And it's just like,
does she have like dark hair?
Yeah,
glasses. Yes. Yeah, I just saw her at Phobab, the festival. It was at UIC this year.
please
The big
tell her
beer
that you and
festival.
I go way back.
She
And
does
get
be a part of, like, they do like Women's Brew Day and stuff.
Yeah.
Every year.
She's a
always
homie.
part of
Or
it.
her
She's great.
partner Kevin is a badass bass player. He's got here's what I'm excited about. You talk about nerd.
Yeah.
He's got this gorgeous Thunderbird bass, and I think she bought it for him. And so I'm gonna have my Firebird up on stage. If you got a photo of my Firebird,
I do. you know, I'm already like.
I'm just
producing as you talk.
I'm just excited to nerd out that
I mean,
he's
there's
got
so
this
many of them.
gorgeous Thunderbird, and I'm gonna have my Firebird on
It's
stage.
really just like, which picture do I want to come up with?
Sure.
That's the real, like, do we go this way?
I
Like,
appreciate that.
Like that's
See, that's the value of getting good content,
that's
right?
a pick right there.
Yeah. That Firebird's a motherfucker. I got that. Okay. I got that guitar after I was part of the team that closed the second largest deal in North America during the pandemic at Salesforce for $39 million.
Okay, that makes total sense because that was definitely something I was going to ask you about because
Salesforce guitar.
When that guitar showed up all of a sudden, like this is how I mean.
Yeah.
I picture you in this guy. You
Sure.
know? This is your Martin.
Yes,
you know,
Martin.
That's.
I got sponsored in 2007. I got a artist sponsorship, so I get a discount. That's very Filipino.
Hell yeah.
Give me a discount.
But that was always like how I.
Wait.
I remember
That
this
photo.
guitar. I remember this guitar.
Hold on, that photo. That's from the cafe.
Oh yeah, the background. That's Bootleggers, isn't
Or
it?
Bootleggers.
That's Bootleggers. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I had too many
I don't know. We had a
Quaaludes.
couple. I think that also changed names too as well. That spot, but I believe that is Bootleggers. I mean, you probably opened him for that Saturday.
Yeah.
You probably weren't good enough to headline that Saturday.
No, I learned it's better not to headline.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I remember coming to some of the early. I don't know if they were early, but I remember coming to some of the Cubby Bear early, showcases.
Oh, yeah. Before you were a
back in
dad.
the day. Probably before I was a dad, or like just early dad days when the kids didn't know what was going on around them.
Sure.
So.
Bedtime before the show starts anyway. You're good.
Yeah, it was good times.
Wait, dude.
I miss
So
it.
if you know Steph, you should come out on Wednesday because she's going to be there.
Is she okay? Well,
Well,
I mean, her and I don't have like a personal relationship or anything, but we definitely run in the
just
same
messing-
circle.
I'm
we
just
know, we
messing
know
with
each
you.
other.
You said you were looking for an excuse. But anyway.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll get out.
Mike Palin
I'll
is a
make an
sweetheart.
excuse.
That guy loves music.
He's killer. I mean, literally built a brewery around it, like a very successful,
Yeah.
high-end, good brewery.
Yeah.
That literally is built on musical names and is called Microphone.
Yeah, his logos. When that came up, I'm like, of course it is. You know, I remember him geeking
I
out
wanna
about
give
his
a
first tattoo.
Segura, I think, is the last name. I think he's like a husband and wife graphic designers that do his labels. I think. So.
Cool.
Actually, just had his most recent Susu Studio was the newest. It's a
See, I
So
love that shit.
there's a big big recognized brewery in Iowa called in Decorah, Iowa, called Toppling Goliath. They're like a giant, but they have a beer called Pseudo Sue. It's big dinosaur on it, big Tyrannosaurus Rex. That's their logo. It's served at the Field Museum because it's got
Sue.
the
Yep.
So Sue and Mike is like he's built so many relationships in this industry over the years, and he's like at the point where he can just do a collaboration beer with a giant brewery like Toppling Goliath, and then they come there and brew it, and then boom, he makes Susu Studio. So he takes their dinosaur and puts a mohawk on it, and just cool labels. Like
he's a sweetheart.
Genius.
Also, he's got great shoe game. His shoe game,
unbelievable shoe game.
Yeah,
dude, craft beer, weird. Lot of shoes, a lot of J's.
Really?
Big time.
I'll fit in. I got J's.
Go to any festival. Like this is what Mike's known for. Like he's got relationships all over the country. So all over the country in craft beer. So all the coolest, like hottest craft beer breweries, and you're like, Florida, New York, wherever, he's got tight ass relationships to where he flies them out. They bring him out. They come to Chicago. So he can put on his own festival here, but he's involved in like all the big festivals around the country. And when you go to those festivals and you see the brewers and the owners and stuff walking around, the J's are incredible.
I believe it.
In a spot where people are pouring dark stouts and dripping shit all over the
sure,
place.
But
it's,
it's all craft. It's the
not on my fives, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, hold on real quick. It's amazing. I remember that story I told you of like, I need to find a job because Miles is going to kindergarten. Yeah. I remember hitting up Mike and Lisa and being real vulnerable.
Oh
and like,
my God.
I need to find a job. You asked,
and if that time frame you're talking about, he was probably just starting to make shit go on. Like he was working at Unane. Oh, so he was still in the music world.
Yeah.
He was doing stuff at this little brewery before that. Before the microphone took, started.
This is
2013,
2012.
So it was close. He was about a year or two away from making, doing his own thing.
Ask him if he remembers me asking him for a job.
I totally will.
Because I
make him listen. I'm gonna send it to him. I'll be like, you gotta listen to this.
I fucking love that guy. Him and his wife are excellent. They have a daughter, right? Or
two. They have a Miles and I don't remember what their daughter's name is, but she's the older. He's a little bit younger, I think.
The same thing. I stalk people that I care. Oh, it's great. I care about. I stalk people I care about online.
His wife are amazing.
Yeah, for the parenting stuff. I love seeing my friends be parents. It's awesome. Yeah,
I've got to watch Mike become a parent and stuff almost.
That's crazy.
Really, I think he just had the kids when I first met him in the craft beer world. My kids are a little bit older than his, but yeah, he's an outstanding dude. He did episodes with me during like the pandemic when we've done some fun stuff. We always have something cooking. We're always bouncing like, hey, maybe
let me get in on that shit.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's figure it out. Let's see if we can get like a place you're playing to bring in his beer or something.
And I'll come to you guys.
Yeah, I mean. The dude's awesome, really.
Let's do an Average Joe's podcast concert.
Well, he's got the. Have you ever been to his space?
I'm a bad friend. I haven't gone yet. And even Steph told me like you need to come visit.
Yeah, you'll love it. Like he's got two. He had the original tap room, and now it's like filled with pinball machines and shit. But it's got guitars all over the wall.
North Suburbs. Where is it?
Yeah, it's Elk Grove Village.
Oh yeah.
So then you go now the newer room. It's not that new anymore, but it's got like records just all over the wall.
I'm
and
not
stuff.
surprised.
They calls it the blue room, and everything's blue. Like he has a very signature blue Mike's known for. Like he's got a Blazer that he rebuilt that is that blue.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, right. Yeah. So is it a Blazer or Bronco?
Bronco.
Yeah,
you're right. No, yeah, I have to go back and look. You're pretty right.
It's an old school truck.
It's a Bronco. But the space is awesome. He's built a fucking empire for himself.
Good.
I mean, just the right size is what he did.
He's a great guy. He deserves all that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, is there anything we should cover before I make you play a song? Or
I think I covered all of it, man. Like I'm on this weird journey, and honestly, thank you for this opportunity. It's cool. I'm practicing the narrative. I'm still a little weird about leaving corporate because it's a safety net and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just thinking to myself, what have you been doing since August?
Trying to figure out healthcare. Like I have no health insurance.
That's
a real
rolling
thing.
Some dice right now, aren't you?
Well, that's why I'm working out 2 times a day, like fucking yoga, to make sure I'm all good.
You didn't pick up like cigarette smoking or anything?
Oh my God, dude. I will try to look 32 forever. I turned 46, but
you're doing great. You're doing great, bud.
Yeah. No, I've been hustling. I was in LA, working a hustle. I was in Austin, working a hustle.
Crazy.
Well, one is like I can't stand the cold. I think what I'm really excited for is when Miles goes to college.
If you got the income to do it, do it. Why the fuck are you gonna hold on to it?
Yeah,
do it.
So just trying to figure that out. No, but the startup is taking up a lot of exciting time. But the other thing too is I'm trying to find a balance between like independent consulting, right? So I've been talking to private equity firms and like a bunch of board people because everyone wants to build out an AI practice, an AI bench, and everyone's willing. For some reason, people are willing to talk to me about it. It's crazy to me to think here's the next level of imposter syndrome for me.
The biggest scam on them.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, pay me to come. Yeah, 100%. Well, here's the thing though. Why would you pay like Bain or McKinsey to come give you some shit? I did it on the ground floor, and more than anything, like. Here's a real
dirty.
Here's a real business problem I'm hearing from everybody, whether it's startup to enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's having a hard time filling top of the funnel leads because AI is automating all the bullshit, and people's content sucks. So
here's your bottlenecks.
Yeah, right. So like, I know your entire technology stack. I know how to automate all of this. I can consolidate your shit. So if you're looking to like minimize OpEx, if you're honestly looking to maximize the humans you have and not add headcount and get more out of them, start using shit like Copilot or Gemini or generative AI to start learning, right? And then like things like conversation intelligence, right? So like weird flex. I worked for a small startup that was like, have you heard of Gong?
No.
They were the number one CI, conversation intelligence. I sold conversation intelligence to Starbucks and to Rivian. Starbucks.
Oh, damn.
Starbucks, their corporate entity has 20 employees responsible for corporate sales. So this is non-brick and mortar, non-franchise. This is like all the gift cards, all the corporate sponsorships, and all that stuff. The year that I was working with them, 20 employees were responsible for $2 billion in revenue. What they told me is that they wanted to add 5 heads and double revenue the following year. So what they were going to do is to start to use conversation intelligence to study every single phone call and every email to figure out how they could grow wallet share for each of the situations and actually start to identify where they could find bigger money just based on the data trends and the conversations, and also train the new 5 employees on how to spit game. Like, I'm really still excited about that stuff. And what's exciting to me is that I have no bias anymore, because at the end of the conversation, I'm not trying to sell you Microsoft. I'm not trying to sell you Salesforce. I'm not trying to sell you LinkedIn.
This one will fit you better.
Whichever one fits. Just trying to sell you time, right? It's like if you want to solve for these problems, get lean on your tech stack, start to look at AI and like really maximize the humans you've got today. I can give you a perspective that, comes from a place of empathy, because I'm the guy. I've always been an individual contributor. I've always been a seller, and I've always complained at every company about the bullshit and the technologies I have to use to get my job done. Now I get to complain about it and help other people solve for that. So like, how can I, this startup is an equity play, but I still need to make some money so I can buy guitars and take my kids to badass concerts.
Yeah.
How can
the experiences we talked about?
Yeah. How can I set up, a 3 to 6 month stint, put me on retainer? Let's dive into your sales process, marketing process, and more importantly, I could help you make some cool fucking content.
Yeah.
And teach you social media best practices, which is the best top of the funnel right now.
Dude, just like hearing the excitement is everything, right?
What do you mean?
Hearing the excitement in your voice talking about this
cool.
stuff, so it's clearly not bullshit. It's not,
it sounds real, doesn't it?
Sure. if you're telling me you're selling it, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it seems like you kind of like it a little bit, or at least
I love it a lot.
The parameters around it, you seem to enjoy, like how you're moving it, how you're talking about it.
Yeah, who knew? And it's nice because now I'm independent.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, and I'm not biased to closing out a deal a certain way. Now it's just like I really just get to strategize.
Yeah, give your brain a little freedom to move in other places here too.
A lot more freedom.
I think the music world will take you back for a little bit too, if that's all. If we can get you a little bit deeper into the music world again, I think we'll take you
Here's
back.
the thing, man. This AI, if my homie got from 1,000 monthly listeners to 300,000, I'm going to try to do the same.
Right. You're going to top that. You're going to have to beat it. You're not going to be able to.
Dude, here's what's exciting, and this from the ground floor. I get to run it back. I get to do it again my way.
Yeah, it's like chapter 2 here. Like
it's going to be awesome.
It's a whole nother thing. Well, do you want to play one?
I will play one.
Let me.
Thank you.
Let me fight this guitar off the wall and get my headphones here. The camera's just going to be looking at you doing whatever you're doing. So
all good.
Tell them a story.
I'm going to play a song that I wrote for my daughter and my son. It's called Just One Song. I wrote this. It was one of the first times I actually left. I went on a West Coast run from like Seattle and like LA. And it was the first time I was leaving my kids for a stretch. Can I get a pick? Or no?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you might want to tune her up potentially.
No, I'm just saying this is gonna be great.
It's not the best guitar in the world, but
It's not
she plays okay.
It's not the guitar, it's the player.
That's right. It's usually my fault. Let's see.
What is the last concert you've seen, dude?
For you?
No,
Or you and
concert.
Me. Holy shit, that's not good, man. That's not good that I can't pull it, because that just means it probably wasn't anytime recent.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm just curious. I know you kids
mean,
are so young.
I'm trying to think though, like we probably something small or local. Definitely, I saw Marlon play not too long ago with Corey. Years ago, yeah, it was still like multiple years.
It's great.
Over there while they filmed the Tiny Desk entry. That was fun.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Was fun.
Did you help him film that?
Yeah, I just sat here. That's where I figured out getting
The
one of
switcher.
these. I was like, yeah, this is where I... All right, let's see. I got you.
That's how you
look
got
good.
suckered in.
Dude, I was like, I got to get one of these. All right, so you set up the song again. You said...
This is a song I wrote for my daughter and my son. It's called Just One Song, and I wrote it. It's the first time I actually left for a bit of a stint to go play, and I went out on the West Coast, Seattle, LA, and I wrote this before I left, and it's still... I think I'm gonna open the showcase on next Wednesday with it.
Hell yeah. Go for it.
All right. This is a message, a simple reminder. Finish what you started. All will be better. The pain will fade away. And soon will come the day when we can be together forever and ever. 'Cause I mean it, I sing it. I know this love is true. There's music without my guitar when I'm with you. And I know that you hear it, the heart in all I do. 'Cause I'm just one song away from holding you. This is a lesson, a test of my will. I won't let them break me. I can't stand still. 'Cause you are the sun, I am the moon. The sky is so crisp and blue. I'm always chasing you. I mean it, I sing it. I know this love is true. There's music without my guitar when I'm with you. And I know that you hear it, the heart in all I do. 'Cause I'm just one song away from holding you. That's the abbreviated version. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, thanks for playing music on here.
Yeah, buddy.
Me and Alex were joking around about the, like the outro. Like you've done like the TV gigs and stuff.
Oh,
and, like,
yeah.
When they have to come back and it's like,
Oh yeah.
hey, thanks for playing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they gotta like overly excite
buffer.
themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, like, how awkward is that when they come back, like Windy City Live, like those types of
yeah,
gigs,
yeah.
like when you come back from, and then the host is like just staring.
And there's
at
nobody
you.
in the crowd.
Yeah.
There is no crowd. Yeah.
I was like, I hope it wasn't awkward for you. He's like, no, I'm used to it. I've done these before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Like, what do you say coming out of that?
No, nothing. It's all good, man.
Beautiful song.
Thanks so
Beautiful
much.
song. See, but you didn't get to go through all your warm up and all that. I just threw you on the spot. See?
No, I don't care.
All right, good, good.
I told you I gave up on my voice a long time ago.
Have you been writing? Have you been writing much at all?
You know what's sad is no, I haven't had.
Do you get the desire to? Like, do you I
it's-
want to? I'm just not getting the time for it. It's just not coming. Like, it's not open.
It's brewing. It's coming. Honestly, dude, like the corporate burnout was real.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I put a lot into it. I wanted to, and I hyper focused on it, to the point where I didn't book any gigs for myself because I was just. Well, and also my kids Miranda and Miles have so much going on with sports, and they have so much going on with extracurriculars. Right, Miles is playing violin, Miranda's doing a bunch of like Spanish or National Honor Society stuff, whatever. And I want to be around as much as I can for that stuff. So it's just hard to make time to open up my brain to be able to be creative, and it's a new. I haven't exercised that muscle in a while, but what's great,
Prioritizing. Man.
yeah, I mean, what's great is that this startup is going to give me a path to just be around more creatives, and that's always going to be a good thing. And just distancing myself from like the daily grind of the day job has already been great. So I assume that once I get through this upcoming gig and like get into January, I'm really excited to, and like it's hibernation season. Like, here's the thing, seasonal depression is real for me. And that's another thing that I focus on in mental health. And that's why the physical health is so important. Cause like, I don't like that it's dark by 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't like, I'm a bald Filipino. I don't need to be outside in 20-degree weather, bro.
You need that. Yeah. You need that sunlight.
Yeah. So like, there's no better time to like hibernate and like write music than like January, February for me, once all the holiday shit's done and all that stuff.
That's the spot for you.
So yeah, totally. That I'm definitely going to be writing like crazy. I'm excited.
So when let's just rewind, like when you're like at your most prolific writing music, right, or when you're doing it the most, was it a thing where you had to work at it, where it was like I got to force myself to sit down, or I set aside 2-hour blocks, or does it have to come natural? Like, did you like to smoke when you sit down, you know, like and read? Is that something that like you felt is like a tool for you?
Historically, and the data says that I write the best between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m.
For real?
Yeah, 100%.
That
Like,
almost sounds like cliche, but like it's you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, these great artists, crazy like 12 to 4, but it's like it's cool to like hear that. Yeah, that's what you. That's
for me, like
when it hits.
Do you know the musician Victor Wooten? He's a bass.
Yeah. Victor Wooten.
He's
I mean, he's played with Dave Matthews, I think.
Sure,
and there he'd show up on things.
Yeah, I heard about him through Bela Fleck and the Flecktones.
Yes,
but I'm obsessed with him. But he talks about the creative process, and for him, like what he likes to do is he gets to a place where he's almost falling asleep, and then he goes and writes. And it makes sense.
Like an ambient.
Right. And that also because your day is done, right? Life is done for the day, and then you can be open. So when I heard that, it made sense to me that writing between midnight and 4 a.m. was always a really prolific thing.
So it was like something you shot for almost. Like,
I didn't at first, and then when he told me that, it just encouraged that. The problem is, I'd have to get up at 6 o'clock to take care of toddlers, or I'd have to get up at 6 o'clock to go to a day job, so I could
changed.
pay for child support and softball and soccer. So now I don't really have that shit, and I can get back into it. And like getting high. Before that, there's and now what's great with the legalization is that certain strains that I can tap into and control that makes it easier for me, so I don't get dumb. It's
science of it now is crazy.
It's fun to get dumb, but also when I'm trying to write and be productive, I need just the right amount and the right strain. So that's helpful. But yeah, now that I'm technically unemployed, I get to access that time of day. I get to access the time of day.
Back in your portfolio now.
And dude, here's the thing, it's brewing. I mean, everything I just fucking told you about today, there's albums that I'm going to write on this, like...
God, I hope so.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, my AI startup is going to release all the music for me.
Yeah, no shit.
So there's no reason for me not to. Why can't I benefit from my own hustle, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is exciting.
What a crazy outlook. Is that the thing you're probably most excited for in your near future here?
What?
Like, just that potential, the potential with that startup, plus that time to get your mental back and potentially reconnect with music even deeper.
Yeah. There's still a little bit of like fear and like not shame, but like I've been operating under this model of like everything I do has to be for my kids. And so I can tie it back that my sanity and who I am as a person and maintaining my identity is going to benefit my kids. But in like that scarcity model, like when you ask me that question, I'm like, I'm excited to figure out which college Miranda's going to go to and like how I'm going to go support her and like party with her. And then also like to hear Miles wants to go to Boston College and, and that could change and I'll support whatever he wants. But
sure.
The fact that he's setting those goals, honestly, like that's where my brain's at right now. Like it's fucking badass.
Pretty cool.
Go get that shit, kids.
God, I wish I had any kind of goal or ambition at that age.
Yeah. No, it's a different,
so much more.
It's a different world, dude. These kids are so motivated in a way that I'd never imagined.
Do you foresee yourself being a hot mess when she goes to college the first day drop off?
I'm not. Her mom's going to be. I'm not.
Yeah.
Her mom wanted her to stay within a 6-hour drive, and I was in Austin, and University of Texas has a great nursing program, and I genuinely liked Austin.
Hey.
And it's like I
get it.
support you going to Austin and see if we can run into Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, like I said, my cousin Nikki's been out there for almost damn near 20 years. She's got a master's from Texas Tech and went to UT.
Oh, great school.
And she's a nurse practitioner there. She's opening up a wine bar right now.
See, my daughter could get a hookup. Nurse practitioner. All right.
In like January, she'll be opening up. She's calling it Feral Housewife Wine. It's gonna be like a cool little wine bar.
Oh my gosh, that's a great name.
I'm very excited for her. She's my age. She's like the female version of me, basically. So,
wonderful.
Her husband's in the tech space. So,
cool.
Yep.
There's a lot of tech down there. That's the other thing too. There's a lot of tech.
Well, we kind of talked about it a little bit before we started rolling. Like she's obviously says the same thing. They're staying there. They're like right outside in Dripping Springs. There, they just moved. They were in Austin. They're still kind of in Austin, but it's technically called Dripping Springs. But she's watched it change over the years.
Oh, I bet.
Like we talked about. Like that tech space came in there.
Yeah,
and it's just so big now.
It's a lot.
It's just so big now.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Remember going there the first time and just falling in love with that place. The beer scene for me as beer guy.
Music.
Plus, I love bar scene and the music.
Stubbs, Gary Clark Jr. Dude, I played South by Southwest back in the day, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild. That's to think about. Well, yeah. Now when people like her that live there went south. Now it's not exciting anymore. It's like
it's a different thing.
It's gonna suck.
Like Lollapalooza 15 years ago was a cool thing.
But then like the traffic's gonna suck.
Yeah,
it's just gonna destroy the whole town. But influx a lot of money. Staying weird, Austin.
Yeah,
I love the town. I mean, we went a couple years ago again, and it was still great to me. It's just different. That's all. It's just different.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any more questions for you.
This was awesome, man. Thank you so much for this.
I just want to thank you for coming out and doing it. I know, you got your own stuff to worry about. This isn't like a millions of people are going to watch it type of show.
Dude, I'm gonna resurface this content. I want to get you some visibility and dude, this is honestly, there's no better person to share all of these exciting news updates and rehash, the glory days with somebody that was riding shotgun on some of that stuff.
God,
so, man,
you were activating my brain. I was coming up with all kinds of nuggets. I was remembering all these little bits and pieces of stuff we did or music that you wrote. Like,
thank you so much.
That handwritten album, My Shit You Not. I listened to that thing so many times.
Thank you so much.
To back. Yeah, that's it. That was an outstanding. I don't know how you guys produced that.
Mark, my cousin Mark.
It sounded so professional too.
Well, I had the best musicians.
It's it.
That's all it is.
When you said Michael Ange's name, I was like, oh my God, like that
motherfucker. Drum solos.
Hit me, dude. I can hear your voice say Michael Ange on the drums.
Yep.
Yeah, so incredible. John Owens. I think I have a recording of that Shuba's show.
I'm sure
somewhere.
There's archives. My kids found archives from back in the day.
2003 or something. I think it was 2002 or 3 or something, but I don't know. You gave us some of the best times of our lives out there, so it was cool to get to talk to you as an adult man now.
I'm not an adult. Don't tell anybody I'm an adult.
Yeah,
but thank you.
That's a good point. Really, really happy for your success too, man. Especially not even just the kids, just your own personal success. Awesome,
thanks,
incredible. Man. The only thing you didn't get like John and Wes, you don't have the calves like those boys do.
It's funny. My son was giving me shit about my calves too, and I'm like,
John's calves are so stupid. Maybe it's because you golf. Do you not golf?
No, it's
That's
not.
Why you don't have the golf game.
No, I don't have the golf game.
But Wilkie's got some big ones too.
Yeah,
he's out on the golf course all the time.
Those Scondo boys.
The Scondo boys. All right, dude. I'm gonna let you get back to your life, but thank you again.
I love you, brother. Thank you for this.
Can't wait. Love you too, man. Thanks. That's it. Cheers. Boom.
Dude, that
Thanks,
was awesome.
brother.
That was long. Sorry if that was too long.